Yo guys, welcome to Crypto EMC live trading podcast. Today we have a special guest in the backstage there. His name is Joe Mitoshi, and we're going to interview each other, talk about our trade systems and his unique approach of using time analysis along with Ikimoco Cloud. So that's going to be something interesting. Currently we are in, if you're in my Discord, we're in a long that seems to be failing. So we're going to give you updated on that as well as we go through the run of the stream. This is out of our normal time schedule, so do me a solid, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and share the video with the friends. Let's bring as many people as we can to the stream. There's about 15 people already joining in live, and Peter cannot be here today, it seems. He is busy working, but he's telling you guys to hit that like. Okay, so let's get to business. Hello Joe, how are you doing, my friend?
Hello, Rudo. Excited, my man. Stoked and excited
Awesome.
to be here.
So you were
Thank
asking
you
me
very much.
right before we were going live, you're saying to me, okay, what is my trade system, my go-to trade system? And I said,
Yes.
well, let's hit the live button and then let's do it. So what is my trade system, Joe? Let me quickly show you. I'm going to be very brief because you know your stuff, so I don't need to go into things too deeply. But for me, the way that I look at the market, I understand that from a weekly point of view, there's always momentum that needs to hold. And the way that I keep an eye on that momentum is actually I use the RSI because it's easier to have a system than with the volume. I'm a Wyckoff trader as a root, and then from that I went on to Elliot wave, and then gann, and then normal price action trading. And I always refer back to the Wyckoff way because I feel like, just like your Ikimoco system, I dabbled in that for a while as well. It's a measure once, measure twice, measure three times, and then we cut approach, which I think is better because you want to wait for the system to actually give you the green light. You don't just want to act on faith. So the way that I do that is I look at the RSI, and the nice thing about the RSI instead of volume is that when you do get these pivots in the market, it's typically good support and resistance levels if you go and mark them out on the chart. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to just take away the RSI, and I've already got them marked out by these lines over here. So what you find is when something is going parabolic or moving to the upside, as long as you stay above these levels, regardless of the fact that there's bearish divergence, you remain bullish, which serves me well when we're into a bull market and things start going parabolic, because it takes away that need. We were talking about this earlier about that guy that 150 needs to happen, 200 needs to happen. It
hmm
takes that away, because as long as you keep on staying above these levels, your narrative remains bullish. Simple. And once you start falling below these levels on the weekly time frame, like we did there, we created yet another strong bearish divergence. The RSI had a little spike, so it gave you the support level. We fell below it. As soon as you start falling below it, that's when you need to worry. Now, the same happened. We used this for the bottom there. You start thinking bullish thoughts. You can speculate on where to catch the falling knife. That is what we try and do with TA, which is what burns most people. But once you regain that pivot, like we did there, once you regain that pivot, that is your cue for more to that specific direction. And we did the same at the previous all-time high. So my system, or my bias for my system, is based on this. So I remain bullish as long as we stay above those support levels, regardless what the coin or the fundamental sentiment is. Now, I know you don't really read up on fundamentals, correct?
Never, ever.
So pure technical trader by heart.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the chart, I was talking yesterday to Wolf. I was on the interview, which was really cool. But the chart, I was telling him offline, I mean, off the record, that time is so important for one reason. And the reason is because we tend to isolate the events on a daily basis. Like, hey, the price is doing this, and we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. But the reality is that the chart is a dynamic, let's put it in a simple way, it's a dynamic sequence of events that are correlated between the past and the future. It's pretty much like your life. I mean, in order for
Yeah.
you to get up and go to work, you gotta open your eyes, get off the bed, take a shower, have breakfast. So,
Some
I
things
mean,
you
it's
should have
just
had a good sleep. Your alarm had to be set. Certain events should have
exactly.
occurred.
Exactly. So everything is related to one another, to one another in terms of the chart and the events and the candles that we get. So what's happening right now is actually building up the momentum in order for the price to eventually correct or eventually move sideways or eventually go up. So and it's important to understand that, because by knowing that and understanding that, then we know that what happens on the chart is not random, and it's actually leading you somewhere. So, and that's exactly what you're talking about, momentum. And that's the main and fundamental reason why I don't do fundamentals, because the chart is always going to show you the way before the things happen, because they have been building up to that point. So, I mean,
The
to
the
be
magic
honest,
rule is, yeah. Sorry. Continue
yeah.
your thought.
No, I was gonna say that, to be honest, I mean, there is a case and there is a place where reactionary traders can be successful, because obviously if you know something, there's a meeting tomorrow, I mean, and you have a good
Insider.
idea for the market, then you know if the market can pump or not based on that, and you can bet on it. But the reality is, like, I mean, it's just a riskier bet. And I mean, at least like you said, and trade a weekly too, I like just to see where the chart is pointing me to before the events happen. So, I mean, lag indicators, news, or fundamentals, in reality, they don't bring any edge to me. So they're irrelevant to me. So, like I
Mhm.
just said, pure hard TA, technical analysis.
And the end of the day, what people forget is, and this is the way traders need to think of it. Is that what the chart is telling you today is a projection of what people are thinking tomorrow is going to look like. And your
Yeah,
job as a trader is not to trade what they see, because inevitably 90% of people lose. And the 90% of the participants that are losing are engineers and doctors and architects and it's not some guy that can barely spell his name that's interested in trading. It's people that are, are typically properly educated, so they know the difference between the two. So if you think of it like that, to boil it down into one sentence, your job is not to trade the info that is available for them to make a decision. Your job is to trade what they're going to do with that information.
exactly.
And
Yeah, it's
that's the easiest way to think of it. So, and that's where, they always say you first learn to lose, because I myself wanted to create or study hard enough and learn that system where I can guarantee the outcome in tomorrow. And that was an expensive journey. I can tell you that. I was nearly wrecked by the time I realized, listen, this means nothing. Look at what the sentiment is, and look at whether something that goes up, buy high and sell even higher, but sell low and sell even lower back.
I
Those kind
mean,
of things.
yeah, 100%. I was gonna say, I mean, there are investors and there are traders, and as a trader, you have to pay your tuition fee to the market, period. That's it. I mean,
Yeah,
eventually you have a learning curve, and basically what you're gonna get to is just eventually, if you are able to manage your risk and your capital, you're gonna get to a point when you are gonna be able to learn appropriately how to protect your capital and how to manage your risk. That's the whole trick of it. So if
that's it.
you're able to do that before your capital is gone, then it's exactly there when you start to be profitable. You have to pay your tuition fee. And even so, I mean, sometimes after years of experience, I mean, I've been doing it for 10 years already.
Sure.
Then, yeah, I mean, we're humans. We're gonna get fear. We're gonna feel fear. We're gonna get greedy. And from time to time, we're gonna fuck it up. I mean, the only thing that is gonna save us is our risk management. It's as simple as that.
Simple as that. I mean, and you're gonna miss out on stuff as well. You're gonna miss out on coins like Giggle that's up 1,000% already. If you
Yes.
think of it like that, it feels like 1,000%. And Dash that's flying at the moment. And then you're gonna wanna FOMO in on these things. And that's why then just say, well, my system says I cannot. And the hard thing I found with this learning curve that we're talking about is understanding what is a rule and what is a strategy and what is just good trade etiquette, because people tend to mix the two around. And the way that I simplify it for myself, a trade rule is something where if I abide by it, I can guarantee the action. So I cannot have trade rules for a setup, because if I say that I need to buy every time the fib moves to the 50% line, and I call that a rule, what does it mean then when it goes there and it fails? Okay, now that makes you doubt your rule. And the same thing is, well, what if I buy at the highs and it keeps on going higher? Screw my trade rule. So you cannot have a rule based on the outcome of a trade. You can rather have a rule based on your actions. I cannot buy if the following setups is not there. And I cannot buy if I didn't go to the gym in the morning, because mindset is key to this thing. Those are rules. And then there's your edge, which is basically a strategy that says that statistically, this is how the casinos work it out. Statistically, if I act according to these things over a duration of time, the outcome will be profitable. But that's where most people mess it up. And that's why you can lose confidence. I mean, Dean, have you lost confidence in your trade setup? Rokan, have you lost confidence in your trade setup? It's because perhaps you had rules assigned to them that didn't quite play out, and now you're worried about it. Yeah.
It's
So that
exactly right. And on that talk, you basically what we arrive to is to the discipline. For example, I mean, but experience teaches us that, and like you said, I mean, if you lose money, you learn the hard way, but you definitely learn. You have to, when you have a set of rules as an individual, as a trader. I mean, if you cannot be disciplined towards them because you are being sidetracked by emotions, then the game is lost from the beginning. I mean, I always tell people, for example, the most important aspect to me on any trade is the entry. So it's what I spend most of the time, is what I really and truly pay attention to, because I like to enter low no matter what. I mean, a good entry to me is paramount, because it doesn't matter afterwards whether the price goes 10% or a gazillion percent. I'm safe. I'm gonna be making money. My portfolio is gonna be growing. So I don't really care about selling tops at all. I mean, what I do care is that my trade is positive and I'm making profit. So, but imagine if I break that rule because I'm feeling greedy, or because someone is chilling something and everyone is talking about, and then I buy something that is 400% up in the last week. I mean, I'm gonna be breaking my rule. So discipline, probably discipline and patience play the most important aspects of trading, in my opinion. And it goes with what you're talking about.
sit on your hands until they turn blue, guys. So while we at that, so in short, let me maybe finish up on my system for you so you can have an idea. So after we have these levels, what I like to do then is I like to look at the market from the following point of view. Now, this is now Bitcoin again, but just on the 4-hour chart. But then I know that there's the 80-20 rule, which means 80% of the time, the same 20% of patterns will occur, which means I don't need to try and invent smart ass ways to saying, well, if something is going to go up, it probably won't do the following things. Like typical your Elliot wave rules, 4 won't go
Yep.
below 1. If it does, it's probably not an impulse, it's a correction. And that's not the kind of place you want to be highly leveraged in, because it's going to be exceptionally choppy. And your idea of this thing going to whatever high you wanted it to be would probably not happen if the 4 goes below that level, because of the fact that we're correcting, those kind of simple stuff. And then from that point onwards, what I like to do is I like to look at the RSI and divergences, because that's the only way that I can really truly define a good edge for myself. Yet again, indicators tend to be lagging, so it tells you what you should have done as opposed to what you should do. So you can't really use them. And then there's simple reoccurrences that I look out for. So typically 2 on the RSI. So if I were to draw an RSI somewhere here and it's chopping, so 2 typically will have a bottom, so there will be a pivot in the RSI, but then your 4 will typically be lower than that. So I'm looking for a low on the chart, and I'm looking for an RSI giving me a lower low. That is a typical hidden bullish divergence, and that's a normal continuation. So when I see this, I know that I cannot say to 1,000,000, because then there's only one wave left. Because you've got your 2 identified. So if I'm waiting for this, I know that I need to take profit soon, because soon as this goes past the 3, you're going to have strong bearish divergence on the chart, meaning this pivot will be there and this one will fail to go make a higher high. And then I remain bullish until what happens? We fall below that level, and then I know that the wave is over, and then I can start playing the short game. And then there's additional tricks. Like for the first wave, you'll typically see the RSI shoot from being overbought to oversold quite quickly. I can show you a really good example of that just now on the 15-minute. So what you will typically see is if you have that first wave, there it is, your RSI will shoot up aggressively, quickly. Oops. And that's a good sign that there's a lot of momentum in there. Now, here was an analysis where I'm looking for a continuation. This is not a picture perfect 5-wave impulse, but 4's trying to stay above 1. The RSI is clearly lower than where it is there. So you do have your hidden bullish divergence, not picture perfect, book perfect, but there's the potential that this was a long-term complex 4 correction, and maybe there's a little more upside to 5. So those are the typical stuff that I use, and then I just try and stress test the market. Look for areas of double tops, double bottoms, and then I have all sorts of tips and tricks that I can use to just try and get that in. But that's basically my system in a nutshell. And try not to overcomplicate things, because otherwise you're going to fall into analysis paralysis, if I can say it that way.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So
you're an Ikimoco trader as such. I'm going to bring up your chart. Maybe give us a good indication of how you go about things.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, now that I'm on my chart, I'm gonna do Bitcoin on the 4-hour too. I have a quick question.
Sure.
In terms of, it's an Elliot wave question, because obviously I have my fair share of education on it, but like I mentioned yesterday, it was focused more on the mathematical reasoning behind the indicator rather than using it. And obviously we know, I mean, it's just common sense that we have ABC corrections, we have 1, 2, 3, 5 impulses and all of that. But on a correction like this one, for example, would it be logical to say that this could do 5 legs like they do when it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Is that
Yeah. So
correct or
typically,
that's wrong?
if you draw an ABC, quickly draw an ABC on your screen again.
Like this?
Yeah, any direction, yes. So that last leg would typically be a 5 wave, and that's a signal that the ABC is done. So you'll have 3 waves from the A to the B, then you have 3 waves from B to the C, from the beginning to the A. You'll have 3 waves.
Okay.
Then there will be 3 waves from A to B, the one that goes up in this instance. And then the C wave, the final wave, would typically be a 5-wave structure.
Okay, so this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and take me to 95, which is what I think we're gonna do next.
Yes. So click on that Elliot wave little tool there below the Fibonacci tools. Just 1 higher, 2 higher. There. So now you'll see that there's a WXY and an XYZ. Those are typically the end wave for a C. So you'll have a larger ABC, and then you'll have that WXYZ live within that last. Because it's still technically a correction, but it's a 5-wave correction.
Okay. That makes
And
sense.
that
It
brings us
makes
to
total
that
sense.
80-20 rule. So that happens a lot of times, as opposed to just a three-way correction and then you're done. You know? So you normally have that additional shakeout wave.
Awesome. All right. Amazing. So let's just go really quick here. Let me just go to the weekly, so we can talk about this again. I mean, the system, probably, like I said, I use Ichimoku a lot. Let me just get rid of this 1 second. And this. Okay. So my primary model for trading is waves and particles, which is the one I developed. It's a trading system, has two parts. One is related to the psychology aspect of it, obviously, the tools, the risk management, all of that, the mindset, uh, in order to use the tools of the technical aspect properly. So basically, if I can tell you in a simplified way what waves and particles does, I can take this scan box. So it'll be something like this. So in the future, obviously, I'm gonna have, so we have two set of formulas. So one formula determines the future price action. I mean, if we have known levels, we know which levels are important. If we don't have known levels because prices reaching new highs like gold right now, for example, the formulas can give us price higher. It's not Fibonacci, so the levels is a proprietary formula from the system. And then we have the dates, which is the same. It's not astrological, it's not regular cycles, it's a proprietary formula that we use to calculate the pivots based on the time frame and based on the nature of the chart. That formula, we have like three or four of them, and they're all specifically crafted to determine important aspects of time in the future. So for example, if I have three
Okay.
formulas and I apply three formulas and the three of them are giving me July 19, 2027 as an important day, I know there's extremely high probability that that date is going to be a pivotal date for the price action in the future. So we have
That's why
agreed.
the 10 November is a big day for you at the moment. Sorry, I don't want to break your train of thought.
No, exactly. It's exactly like that. I
Okay.
mean, I have a chart somewhere. I'll put it up in a second. But basically, what we end up is with a grid. It's just a roadmap, basically, because
Mm.
we rely a lot on geometry. So we are going to understand something. The chart is our numbers, and we see those numbers represented by Japanese candles. But numbers in mathematics, the visual aspect of it is geometry. So when you learn to, like Gann did, to apply angles, circles, squares, fans, and all that kind of stuff, then when you go deep on it, you start to understand the importance of geometry in order to represent the future of the price action. So what we have here, what we end up here with waves and particles is just a roadmap. So if I, let's say, for example, the price is here and we go down, down, and then at some point in time, I know we have been correcting, for example, I don't know, let's say 6 months, and we went down to this level, which seems to be important. And we are right here and this very important date that the system told us. And then maybe at that point in time, we have a hidden bullish divergence when we get the price making lower lows, but we see the indicator making higher lows. So that's a clear bullish divergence. And then we see some buying volume in the past few weeks, for example, a lot of buying volume, but then the price is going down and it's holding support. Then it's just simple math. The probability says that there is a strong chance that either we start bull trending from this point, or at least we're gonna get a leg towards the upside. It's as simple as that. I mean, there's literally no complication. The formulas can give you the output in less than a minute. I mean, you measure your levels, you measure your dates, you see the nature of the trade, and that's it. Simple as that. So this is the first part, and that's probably my go-to, the most important
Okay.
aspect that I use in terms of the chart. For example, one of those levels was 122,500. And that's a level that I
122,500. Let me just.
yeah, n-
No, I don't
the
have
not the
something
ex-
to write.
yeah.
Give me a second. I'm
The
going to get a book.
exact,
You can continue on.
yeah, sure. So the main level was 122,575. That's the first time I shared that level was back in September 2024. We were around 69K. And the other level was 104,600. So those two levels were levels from waves and particles. And it doesn't matter what I believe. It doesn't matter what I want. It doesn't matter what anyone says. It doesn't matter the news. It's just simple math and the foundation of the system. Those levels are gonna give price a trouble. It's just gonna be like that because it's the way it is. You can see what happened exactly at 104. We corrected back down to 74. And right now, from 122 here, we are correcting all the way down to 100. So that's what it is. It's as simple as that. When I have the levels and I have the dates, the second aspect of it is to understand via Ichimoku how weak, how strong, or how strong the trend is. So that's where Ichimoku comes into play. Ichimoku is going to tell you in very simple terms whether the trend is bullish or bearish based on the cloud. If the price is above the cloud, and you can see it always bounces from the Tenkan and the Kijin, as long as the price keeps doing that and the cloud is green, you know you are on a bull trend. Once you see the price get under the cloud, you are on a confirmed bearish trend. As you can see here, for example, if we go to the monthly really quick, we can see that we are on a bull trend. I mean, this, and we have been on a bull trend um, effectively since here, 42K, when we broke above the cloud. And you can see here all of the aspects of it. Um, the Tenkan, which is the shortest line, is bullish. The Kijin is bullish, and the cloud is green. So this is an effective bull trend. And as long as the Chiku, which is the lagging span right that you see right there, is above the price is bullish too. So it's as simple as that. That's why Ichimoku means like a quick glance to the chart to understand whether the price is in balance or not. Because this is what's going to happen. The price is going to trend up until there's a lack of balance between buyers or sellers. So there will come a point when there are more sellers than buyers, and then the trend will shift and the price will go down. One that's exhausted and there are more buyers than sellers, the price will go up. So that's what Ichimoku measures. Ichimoku measures that balance based on mathematical numbers. It's a mathematical sequence. So, but there are very nuances and signals and ideas and little details that will tell you, okay, this trend is slowing down, it's getting up, it's gathering speed, it's getting weaker, it's getting stronger. So as like I said, on the weekly, as long as you bounce from the Kijin, the trend is bullish. So I can go down all the way right now to 77, 76. And I've been fighting with a couple guys told me recently, like, if we break 80, we're on a bearish territory. And I'm like, no, it's not. I mean, it's simply not. Technically, you can say whatever price can correct even 40%. And that doesn't mean the price is gonna get on a bullish territory and a bearish trend. I mean, there's a lot of supports that we need to break, and the structure is what I'm gonna tell you whether we are gonna get into a bear trend or not. It's important to understand that we are actually here on a parabolic move. Once the parabolic move ends, which might seem right now that it did, it can correct way deeper, but we need to break a lot of levels before it happens. Like I said, we can
I said
easily go
that.
down here.
I
Go
said
for it.
that a lot, and I got a lot of heat for that in the previous cycle because the argument was if you look at Bitcoin from the monthly, from the adoption curve, that it basically, it's never been in a bear market. It's been trending up ever since. So, but
Yeah,
I started, talking the normal talk because in the end of the day, if you start telling people it's not in a bear market and it loses a critical level and they also go down 98%, for that guy, it
mhm,
is a bear market.
yeah,
So
well,
the,
absolutely.
the,
I
the
will show
trick
you,
with
for
this
example,
is understand
look,
the time frame and where you're positioned according to the time frame.
exactly. For example, we can take a look at Solana because it's important on the weekly. It's a very particular chart. You can see here. So basically what we got there was just a whole lot of fuckery for the past, what, year or
A
so, year
year,
and a half,
basically.
almost two
Yeah.
years. So this is a process. This is a process for price action. And it's tricky and it's hard to trade and it's complicated. Why? Because the price is not trending like people are used to see on the markets. And this is a real game for traders. This is where a trader experience is going to shine. But for someone who goes like up only October, bull trend all season, this is going to be a massive problem.
A
And you can
horrible
see the
chart to deal
cracks
with. Yeah.
on the price action. This could easily be a head and shoulders, a top head and shoulders, and price can go down back to 1920. I mean, technically, it's possible. I don't mean that it's going to happen right now, but the all of the situations here are telling you like, hey, you need to be careful. You cannot simply be bullish because you're thinking that everything is going to go up forever. And what we are getting here more than anything else is just chop and fuckery. So what you need to do is just to define your levels, you know, for in this case, Ichimoku gets complicated because the chart, as you can see, gives you a lot of false signals. So you can
Mhm.
what you can do is just go to a higher time frame and you can see what's going on here. So now things change here. You can see on the monthly, for example, price is barely holding the Kijun, but the Kijun is always a support. And you can see the Kumo is green. It's a small and it's almost flat, but still green. But what this is telling you towards the future is that this is more likely to keep fooling people around until this process is over. And this process might be over, I mean, in a year or 2 years from now. So they're very, I mean, critical situations, but one thing that doesn't lie, that don't lie are the high time frames. But going back to Bitcoin, like I said, you can get a knack and understanding of what's going on with the trend with Ichimoku. So for example, here on the monthly, it's still bullish, but you can see this gap here. This gap here is so massive between the Tenkan and the Kijun. It's a 25% gap. And what that is telling you is that simply the price is not a balance. It's not in equilibrium. So that equilibrium must be attained no matter what. So that can happen in two ways. Either the chart keeps moving sideways until
Until
the
it catches
Kijun
up. Yeah.
goes back up and they're traveling together again and the price trends and we resume the bull
Right.
trend, the other option is just price just rolls over and goes down, taps the Kijun, it goes up from there, and then we keep the bull trend. But now we get into a complicated and dangerous situation. So that's where you need to pay attention because if we do that, for example, we could be building a top head and shoulders 2 here. So we
Yes.
go
And
back
then
down to
what
80,
percent?
we go to 104, then we break 80, and then we go to 42, for example, which is the strongest support right now because you can see that's where we started the bull trend when we broke that Kumo back in 2024. So that's how you get ahead of the chart. I mean, you don't need, we're on the monthly and we're talking about years, maybe 1 or 2 years of possible price action. So you don't really need to pay attention to the news or anything, if anything, to just confirm your setups. But I mean, if you get in such a way like that, then you will have a pretty rough or very good roadmap or blueprint of what might happen, and then you can make a bet because we're gambling no matter what, and then you can
Mhm.
make an educated guess. You can make a bet on data that is reliable and consistent without putting any emotion into the chart. But this is a monthly. We go to the weekly and you can see things here are giving you a little bit of a red flag. Why? Because you can see the price stop bouncing from the Kijun here. Now we are under the Kijun and we are about to get a bearish ticket cross. That doesn't mean it's bearish yet
Appreciate
because we
it. Yeah.
still have the green Kumo to support the price, but that's a red flag because this could be the beginning of a bear trend, of a major correction. Like I said, we can simply do this. We can do that. I mean, but we can also just go down to the Kumo, fool around a little bit, and then continue the bull trend. This is a weekly. Now, if we go to the 3 day, the red flags are getting bigger So we
Because
got a
now you've
red
got
flag
an
here.
edge to edge there. You know, you went into the cloud, you tagged the top,
Exactly.
and now you're at the bottom, and now it's becoming a little bit worrisome.
But look what's going on here. The
It's spinning
cloud
in
is
as
telling
well.
you,
Yeah,
the bear momentum is just like 1 week old, like a baby. It's just a baby bear momentum, but it's a bear momentum
there.
nonetheless.
Yes,
And now the Chiku is below the price, so it goes by stages. Once we get the red Kumo, then we get the price under the Kumo if that happens. Then we get the Kijun, then we get the Tenkan, and finally the last one is the lagging span.
lagging
So if
span
the
right.
lags is the lagging span or
Gets
the
below the
Chiku
price. Yeah.
gets below the cloud, then you have a
Mhm.
full bearish confirmation. And at that point, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna let this thing ride all the way down until it finds a good support. And obviously, we're gonna have ways to do that. We do waves and particles, we do all of that. That's a 3-day. So if we go to the daily now, you can see the same theory, but in a
It's
different
already
way.
played out on a smaller time frame. Yeah.
Basically, yeah, exactly. The bull momentum that we started in April, that leg up is over. So what we get now is a red Kumo that is getting wider. Wider means stronger.
Stronger.
You get the Kijun out of the Kumo, you get the Tenkan out of the Kumo, you get the Chico below the Kumo, and the price below the Kumo. So no matter what, this is a bear momentum on the daily. So what we need to pay attention to are just two things. Is this going to be a sustained bear momentum, or this is just going to be like the Solana chart, which is just going to keep fooling
Chop you
around.
around.
The Kumo is going to turn green again, and then it can turn red again, and then we can just do this and this and this. This is exactly what we got in in August last year here.
Yeah, where it
You
kind
can
of gave you that it was gonna, it wasn't, and then out of the blue it just rallied like stink again.
exactly. You can see here how the momentum got completely bearish because the Kumo was red, the Tenkan and the Kijun was below the Kumo, the Chico was below the Kumo, and the price. So here you would say, okay, I'm gonna get out of the market, and then you get out
And
of the
then it
market.
rallied.
If you bought down here, you get out in profit. But then if you are patient enough, as time progresses, you get this rally here, and you're like, the price went above the Kumo again. So that's not typical on a bird trend. On a bird trend, that's not going to happen. On a bird trend, the price gets rejection at the Tenkan or at the Kumo, and then it goes down. So what's going on here? Maybe this is a fake out. And you can see by the slope of the trend, obviously a downward slope is never going to be um bearish. I mean, a downward slope is always going to be bullish because it's just building momentum. So then you just follow the path, and you can see right here what happens after you get all these different fake outs and stuff like that. We finally managed to get above the Kumo, and now the Kumo is green for the future. So you here, you can relatively safe buy around 55, 57, 60, and then you place your stop loss right probably below the Kumo there, because that would be an invalidation, and that would mean that this is not a bullish momentum, but it's a disguised bear momentum. And then you let it ride, and long and behold, what happens? The price does this. So it's just a reaccumulation, and then boom, it goes up again. You can
And
see,
it's the hard
yeah,
part
go
of the
for it.
strategy. It's so simple as you explain it, but for the viewer, and even for me when I started with Ikimoco, is waiting for the stuff to come, for the alignment,
It's just
for
patient. It's
everything.
just
That's the
patience. Yeah.
hardest part.
And this is when waves of particles and Ichimoku shines. Because, for example, back here on our most important day was March 18th. That was a weekly pivot. I'm gonna just put it right here. So that's a weekly pivot. And this was a major resistance for the price. Action was 74. So right there. So here I said the price is going to correct for 8 months. It was just based on Ichimoku, and and waves and particles. But I said
Okay.
8 months because I had a major pivot exactly on the week of October 7th. So let me go to the weekly and go like this. There you go. So that was like probably the most important pivot I had for 2024. So the only thing I needed to do was just to wait to see where the price was at that date. So my lowest level was 49,500 based on waves and particles too. And there was another major pivot on August 5th. So we are here, right? In March, we sold mostly everything. I shorted Bitcoin and we just let it ride. And then what happens? Exactly on the week of August 5th, we tap that level we had at 49,500. So obviously we bought there, we held that position, we fool around a little bit, and look what happens exactly on October 7th. That was the candle. We get here the bullish TK cross, which is when the Tenkan goes above the Kijun. The
Okay.
price bounced exactly from the Kumo here, which was support. And then the rest is history. You just let it ride, boom, until the next level, which was of 104, 600, right? If I remember correctly, 104, 600. And then boom, you get your legs. You get a downward leg, you get a bullish leg, and then you keep moving this over and over and over with time,
So a question that I have is the values, the 104. Do you use the gann box to try and lay that out, or how do you go about getting those numbers?
No, it's a formula for the system. For example, I have to evaluate, past values, and then I do the formula for the system, and the formula is going to tell me. For example, I can tell you right now, another one is 138. Um, Another one, the one that I think is going to be the top for this run, whenever that happens, is 2229 or 221. Well, I think it's 229. That's another important level. 229,000. Um, then there's another one at 122 was another one. So basically, like I said, I just evaluate the price. 140 is another one. So I don't know. Funny as it is, people think that trading is about knowing what's going to happen. The trading is about calling the top. Trading is about calling the bottom. And like some people have, it's funny when someone comes in my tweets and they go like, Bitcoin will be at 150, Bitcoin will be at 50K in a month. And it's like, bro, you don't know. No one knows.
Hmm.
You cannot see the future.
Doesn't work
So
that
people
way.
tell me, were telling me in the past, students like, so 122 is the top. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, there's no way for me to know if that's the top of not, but I know there's going to be an important resistance. So if I am a disciplined trader, I know I need to cut my risks, and I know I can short there as a hedge if I'm on a long or if I have a position from lower levels. Now, if it comes to be, this goes like this and it goes to 50K, people will be like, "Oh my God, you nailed the bottom because you knew 122 was going to be the top." And I'm like, no, I didn't know 122 was going to be the
I
top
just
of
active.
Bitcoin. I just knew that was going to
You
be
need
an
to act.
important resistance. And that's it. I just need to act on the important resistances and the important supports. And that's all there is to this game. Literally, there's nothing else. However, I'm going to tell you that's why I have been so accurate in the past probably 7 years with tops and bottoms, because the levels and the dates of the systems, they're really, really crazy accurate. They're crazy. So for example, for Zcash right now, I can tell you that 630 is an important level, for example, right now for Zcash. Like I said, it's the same example I had with Bitcoin. I don't know if 630 is going to be just a minor correction. Maybe we go there. and maybe we correct a little bit and then we blast that. Maybe we go through that like a knife through butter, or maybe this is the local top and then from 630 it just goes down to $80 again. I don't know. But what I do know is that this is a level that I need to pay attention. This is a level that I would like to interact with. It's the same thing that happened 2 weeks ago with Binance. I put it on Twitter. Like when we got this chart, I didn't know Binance was gonna be make a top. But what I did know is like 1,330 was a major level for my system for waves and particles. So if I'm looking at this chart and I'm looking at this parabola, it doesn't matter. I just knew that some way, somehow, I needed to short 1300. So again, then we got that crazy candle. I was able to close that at the Kumo because I knew the Kumo was going to be a support. Then we went up to the same level and I shorted that level again because just by looking at this candle and that rejection, I shorted again. I shorted on the 4 hour. You can see that price action right there, but it goes with the Kumo. You can see how the Kumo went under here. The price went under the Kumo, even though it was a crazy week. So these price action here, I got the feeling there was gonna be more of a trap or more of a dead cat than anything else. So I shorted again 1300, but it was not because I mean I could have gotten stopped easily, but if the price decided to go up like crazy, but I have to short it because I just know it's just an important level towards the system. And here we are again. I'm down all the way down to the first short, and I'm still holding that one. All I need to do is just manage this trade. I mean, at first I had the stop loss here, and right now my stop loss is like probably around this level because of the cloud right there. And I'm just gonna let it ride until it ends. Maybe it just forms a bottom here. Maybe it just goes way lower than that. Maybe, but whatever it is, my position is safe. I just need to be patient and see what the price is going to do. I mean, I'm not in a hurry. So until that cloud, until this price action goes back above the Kuma, I don't have to get worried about a bull trend starting again. And that's basically a rundown of how I trade, how I use Ichimoku, and probably a few of the things that you can, consider if you're trying to get into it or you want to know more about it. Now, let me
Okay,
think.
and
Oh,
I've got my
mm-hmm,
I'm looking at yours. Just a few questions. So I've got my own version of the Ikimoco that I used to use. Um,
mm-hmm.
I'm comparing the way that my Kumo looks versus yours. I see yours very different. Are you using the standard um, what's it,
Yes, mine
Forex
is a standard.
5-day system, or you're not using the crypto system?
Oh, I was going to talk about that yesterday when I when Wolf told me on the interview, like, give me your closing statement. And I said this. The only closing statement, because I'm trying to help people and teach people here about Ichimoku, is this one.
Yeah.
These numbers are not related at all with trading hours or trading weeks or trading dates. 52 weeks in the year, 26 days in the month, 9 hour. That's a misconception. That's not true. Those
Okay.
numbers are not related in any way to that. These numbers are a part of a mathematical sequence that Hosoda invented or developed based on universal math. When I mean universal math, I mean universal constants like golden ratio, Fibonacci, the pi, phi, all of these numbers. They're not related
Okay.
to trading hours. So when you double the settings, you are actually fucking up your trade because you are getting delay signals. You're basically getting delayed the double the time of the signal. So let me give you a quick example here on Zcash. I told everyone on Twitter to buy Zcash exactly at $40. And it's basically, I don't even gonna tell you that it was based on waves and particles, which it was, but I'm gonna tell you why I told people to buy Zcash at $40 on Twitter. It was simply because of Ichimoku right here. You can see is what I just showed you with Bitcoin when it was at 42K. So you get the price, you get out of the Kumo here. It was a fake out. Then you can see here, the price went out, the Tenkan and the Kiyon were out, the Chiku was out, and the Kumo was green. So I even told people before the confirmation, because that confirmation was a $50. So my tweet on Zcash was exactly right here on September 4th at $40. And the reason for that was because I was already looking at the signs that Zcash was about to leave the Kumo. And this was based on waves and particles because the weekly of September 1st was a major pivot in the cycle for Zcash. So that was a pivot I was hunting for months. So I loaded
Bless you.
Zcash. Thank you. I loaded Zcash like a madman, like a degenerate around this level, $24, something like that. I had a bag, previous bag from lower for $20. So I had to wait literally like a year for this trade to happen. But when I saw the signs that they was about to leave the Kumo, I told everyone like, listen, guys, you gotta pay attention to Zcash because I think it wants to move. And then after that, a few days after and a few weeks after, you get this 1200%. So that's how easy and simple it is to trade with Ichimoku. I mean, obviously, in this case, it was obvious. Sometimes Ichimoku is trickier, it's more complicated, it's more difficult. But in a simple terms, this is what you do with Ichimoku. So another example we can analyze, let's say ICP, because I was looking at it yesterday. So if we go to ICP here, you can see on the weekly, for example, we are kind of, just let me go there. It's just such a weird chart. Okay, there you go. You see, you're building up the momentum here. Obviously, we know this is a buy area, right? And this trade is, this is a buy area. This trade is not going to be confirmed until, in terms of Ichimoku theory, until the price is out of the Kumo. Once it's out of the Kumo and this Kumo is green, then you know this is going to start a bull trend. However, you can still see there's some time towards that event. But you can see the Kumo is closing here, which is a great sign. You can see the price pumping here, but still under the Kumo. So if you want to be a little bit more on the safe side, you can wait. I mean, you can wait even a little bit of pumps and a little bit of retest, and the conditions are right. Like you said, you can bring Elliot waves, you can be RSI, you can start to look for those bullish divergences and just ride the trend. Obviously, this is not going to apply for someone trading the 1 hour or doing 50x or doing 100x, but I'm a swing
No,
trader.
yeah.
I do swing trades on the weekly, like the one that see cash, like Dash. Those are the type of trades that I do, like buying Bitcoin at 17K, 24K, and then selling at 126. That's what I do. So obviously I have my scalp portfolios. I do 100x, I do 500. I have a 500x short right now on BTCC, but that's a different story. I mean, but my main bread and butter, it's my swing trade portfolio on the weekly. Here, if you go to 3-day, for example, you can see some early indications. You can see we have a very obvious trend line here that the price is about to work on. And you can see the signs already. You can see a tiny green Kumo here. You can see the Chiku, the Tenkan, and the Kiyon are on its way to break the Kumo when it's thin right there. The price is already up. So once we have a good, prolonged green fat Kumo there, price is out of the Kumo, Tenkan, Kiyon is out of the Kumo, and the Chico right here lagging is out of the Kumo, then you're gonna have the price breaking the trend line too. And then you're gonna be, all right, you know what? This might be a good double bottom. So you get ahead of
Time for
time. You
banana.
get
Yeah, you
you
never
buy
know.
at a good level, you can ride that up. And if we break that double bottom, then you can go right there and boom, then you have it. You're buying basically at 6, you sell right here at 38, you get a 500% return. I mean, as simple as that. That's it.
Can
Ichimoku
we have a
super
look at
easy.
Dash while you're at that?
Which one?
Looking at your Dash, because Dash is also becoming a little bit of a ICP breakout. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
See, so there's
exactly. Well,
another one.
you
You
see,
can see
you see,
it's got the same stuff, but it's not ready according to your system.
you see right
But it's
there.
showing a little bit
You
green
have,
now. It's basically there.
yeah, you see right there and the accumulation, you see we broke that and we are, yeah, we're rejecting obviously because we reached this is a technical target. So you basically got this accumulation right there. The price took its time, like what, 3 years to work on that accumulation. That's why this is the area where you want to buy. That's what I told you. Whenever I'm on a trade, this is the most important aspect to me to buy this area. I'm actually on Dash and I bought here at 15 or whatever. I don't remember right now, but I bought around this area because of that. The entry aspect is the most important part for me because I don't care, to be honest. I don't care if this ends here. I don't care if this keeps pumping. I'm just gonna hold onto this until the trade gets weaker. So if we go to the weekly, for example, there's, I mean, there's no reason for me to think this is gonna stop here. Yes, we can correct. We can even go down to retest that breakout, but this, as it is right now, it's just starting a bull trend. You can see the Tenkan or the Guillaume are out, the Chico is out, the Kumo is green already. This thing went down like probably like 99%, spent 3 years on accumulation, and then it's just it's a swing trade, and you bought. Yes, you're right. We are. This is just a big resistance. If I do the WP levels, which I can do right now because we are live. I will have to pull up the formulas, but I can see by the Ichimoku. Let me turn the price for a second here. This is a great trick I can share with people. The Chiku, before I develop and create waves and particles, the Chiku was my bread and butter for important levels. So here, for example, you can see why we're getting rejection right there. Because the Chiku here, definitely this was an important area for the Chiku in the past. So that's obviously going to offer some resistance to the chart. However, if we break that, the next area, the next important area that we might look for resistance is this right here, because we can see it was support, then it was resistance, it was resistance. So this is how it's an easy way to play the charts. I used to do this. So basically, let me turn back on the price, and we're here. So if I am, this is an important area that I need to pay attention. Probably if this was my intention right now, which I'm probably going to do, I will close here like 30, 40, or 50% of my position from down here and just wait to see what's going to happen. If we get a rejection, we're likely to come back down to this area or even the Kumo. That's possible. If we were to break, then the next area that I would probably look for taking profit again or paying attention to the weakness of the trend would be around here between 200 and 226. And then from that point, the sky is the limit because, for example, in terms of gun theory, Gann says that I can talk about this because this is Gann, this is not waves and particles. Gann says, for example, that if we break the zero point 0.5 from high to low, now we are on a bull territory. And we can see that's why this could be a resistance area. Once the price breaks that, then we know we are effectively on a bull chart, and then the sky is the limit for this. So it's just a process that we take step by step, step by step, step by. The hardest part, of course, is the waiting when you buy, because in order to buy at good levels, you need to wait to profit from this. There's no other way around that. There's no easy way. There's no other way. It's just the way things are. If you want to get the maximum profit like we got on Cash, you need to be able to buy the low and just wait until that thing develops. Ideally, if you understand time, then you buy it all here in September rather than buying it here in August of 2023, because you're going to be able to use that capital in a more efficient way. So while this happens, if you understand time and pivots, this is another aspect where waves and particles really shines, because if we know that I'm an accumulation, the best way to optimize my capital is to buy right before the move rather than buying the whole accumulation area. And that's what we do. That's why sometimes people tell me like, hey Joe, I'm looking at this chart and the chart looks great here. And I'm like, yeah, the risk to reward ratio is great right here, but in terms of time, I think we're gonna need 3 more months, 6 more months, maybe another year. And it's because I know the price is not ready in terms of time to pull the move, but it's gonna be a little bit more down the road. And then you can buy just right before the move, like we did with Zcash. So Ichimoku, just so you know, it's a very complex. It can be as complex as you want it to be. I mean, Ichimoku has like there's an indicator here. Let me turn this one by these guys. Ichimoku, the Ichimoku theories right there. So here you can see Ichimoku has time theory, has price theory, Ichimoku has wave theory. You can have I waves, N waves, Y waves. So it's so complete, it's crazy. So if you really want to dig into Ichimoku, I mean, I'm just using it in the simplest, easiest way that you can. But Ichimoku has so many layers and depth of information. It is crazy. I don't use it because I have waves and particles, so I just use it for the trend aspect. But it's amazing, to be honest. And it's one of the few indicators that actually forecast price action to the future, because that Kumo in the future is telling you a lot of information. It's telling you dates, it's telling you levels, it's telling you trend, strength, and progression. It's telling you a lot of things. But yeah, I mean, there's so much you can do with it. Never
It's
do doubles.
certainly. I mean, I it sparked an idea. I used to use a lot of gann as well, and just for simplistic reasons, just to get in and get out of a trade, I stopped using gann. And there's some interesting, nice angles that can help predict. You can just use the gann box to kind of help guide you with typical areas where the jump is going to happen. Have you done that in the past? Use the gann box on
Yep.
on
I
your on your on your wave like this.
Nowadays I'm gonna show you something. I stopped using GAN for one reason and one reason alone. GAN mathematical theories are solid. They're probably the best you can master. Gon and Ichimoku, in terms of math, is the closest that you will ever find to be accurate. And believe me, I study every single trading system literally 18 hours a day, like for 3 years. So Gon and Ichimoku are by far the most accurate in terms of math. However, in order to be a real Gon trader, you really need to be good at astrology, because the theory behind Gone is rooted in astrology and mathematics and geometry. And I'm not an astrologer at all. I don't know anything about
Mhm.
astrology. I don't follow the planets. So quickly, I realized that either my path with Gone was going to be to learn astrology or simply drop it. So for that reason, I dropped GAN. However, I took the math from GAN, which is, like I said, as solid as you can. I'm a math guy, so I took the
Mhm.
math, and that helped me, you know, connect the dots between Elliot waves, Wyckoff, Tom DeMark, GAN, Ichimoku. So based on the mathematical theory, I was able to create my own formulas for waves and particles. But one thing that I still have from GAN are my GAN boxes. So based on GAN theory, for example, I develop a GAN box that I use with the students for waves and particles. This is a modified GAN box. It's not true in nature to GAN, but it
Okay.
uses the same gann geometry. So for example, I shared this on July 15th, precisely because I knew, first of all, that August 11th was a major pivot for my system, and I wanted to have a roadmap for the possibility of a top of 100 and 122. So these angles are going to represent something. I drew also here the parabolic progression because I knew that once we break that parabolic progression, there was going to be a red flag for this trend possibly ending. And parabolic moves, they can correct anywhere from 50 to 80%. So this was important to me. And so this is a, I can say probably that this is a waves and particles modify GAN box. So you click play right now, and you can see exactly what happened, what has happened
Mhm.
with the price up to this point. So we pivoted on August 11th, which was a major pivot from the system. We went down. That was exactly the leg that broke the parabolic line for the first time. Then we went up. That was a trap. That's why I told
Yeah.
everyone in September, like, this is a trap. You got short 126. And this is just pure based on observation. Bitcoin loves to pull a higher high before big corrections. I mean, I've
It
been
does.
studying Bitcoin for 10 years, and it always does that. I mean, it's just so crazy. It always wrecks and fools people with a higher
Traps
high
use false cipher
before.
security.
Exactly. So I was on September 15th, which was a major pivot for the system. I told the students, listen, guys, it doesn't matter what happens. If we touch 124, 126, you need to short no matter what. So
Mhm.
here we are today. You can see the progression of the box. We got rejection at that waves and particles level again. We got rejection in the circle. And we basically haven't been able to break this angle right here. This is a very important angle for a gun. We went down all the way and we're bouncing from this other angle and the circle. So what's going to happen here is that probably price is going to be constricted between this little triangle until it resolves the situation. Either it's going to get into the circle, unto which point we're still going to have this support on this angle, or we're going to have this support on this angle. So those are the places. So we go triangle by triangle, basically. So right now, as you can see, we're kind of constricted within this triangle. You can see resistance, resistance. You can see resistance here, and you can see support here. Obviously, that doesn't mean that the price is going to go all the way down to 60, but it can. So, but we have
Mhm.
other angles here to pay attention to. But right now, this is one example. The other example of a GAN box here, and I shared this because of the same reason, because I knew, you can see it right here in red. The reason it is in red, 123K, is because I knew this was a very good prospect to offer Bitcoin a local top. I mean, like I said, I don't know if this is the end of the bull run. However, I did knew for probably years that this was going to be an important level. You can see here, this was posted a year ago, December 19th, 2024. So you
That's
click play.
actually for the guys that's been watching and following me for, I mean, I said 125 is my exit when we were at 15,000. And I used
Oh,
the
well,
GON to
there you
kind
go.
of point at that. So everybody on this call, they will probably be able to vouch for that because I
It's
used GON for that.
exactly. I mean, it works. It simply works. And the good thing about, listen, I told yesterday on the interview that I'm a very passionate guy. So with what I mean with that is like emotions are very alive in my persona. I mean, if I'm angry, if I love you, I'm gonna tell you. It doesn't matter where you are. I mean, if you're in the street and you look great, I'm gonna tell you, hey, bro, I love your outfit. I'm a very passionate person, and I'm very impatient too. So I needed to develop a system. I created waves and
And
particles
it
for me.
gives you that.
I needed to develop a system that was rooted in math because it was the only way for me to control the lack of patience and the emotionality of it. So
Mm.
basically, that's why waves and particles have price levels and dates, because the dates are going to help me be patient until we arrive to those dates. And the levels are going to keep me composed when I see the price going down or I see the price going up. So basically,
That
I don't trade.
expectation management, which is so hard for most guys, you know.
It's probably it's the biggest problem. Obviously, as a trader, I mean, I don't care. I don't care about sentiment. I don't care about my own hopes. It's funny because people on Twitter always the first thing that they ask you is like, "Are you bullish or are you bearish?" And the reality is that I'm neither one of them ever. I'm never bullish and I'm never bearish. I mean, I just follow the trend. I mean, I'm the only thing that I care about. It's the next resistance and the next support and the next date. That's the only thing I care about. I mean, if we're gonna go up, we're gonna go up. If we're gonna go down, we're gonna go down. I don't care. I'm gonna make money either way. So I mean, to abide your emotionality to the price is literally the worst that you can do. And actually, when you stop doing that, you get an edge because the market shows you emotion. What this is showing you is the emotion, the collective emotion, and the
Function of
collective
everybody,
psychology.
correct.
So if you're able to separate yourself from that psychology and that emotion, then you get an edge and you end up being better than the 99% of people out there. So you can click, and when we go back to this chart and we click play here, we can see what happens. What happened over a year. We can see that we went down on this pivot, which was on my top on December 17th. Then we went down and we bounced exactly from this angle, 60, 78. That's a word, and this was important because we had a major pivot on April 7th for the system. So obviously, it's like I told you, if I'm touching this angle and I have a major day on April 7th and I have the bullish divergence and I know that I'm close to hitting an important level, then I know I need to long. It's just simple as
Mhm.
1 + 1 = 2. So we longed and then we held that long until the next important date. You can see right there, 123. That was the local top right now. So far, you can see the weekly was not able to close above that level. Then we went down and we are on our way to find the next support in this chart, which is sitting at 97. We have an upcoming date here, which chart is not showing me, but I can find out
Mhm.
later. But so that's what it is. I mean, if I know, if I see that by this pivot, we're still holding this support, there's a good chance that we can bounce from that and then maybe try to reach this diagonal or maybe this horizontal again. I mean,
Correct.
we don't know what's going to happen. I just play for the next resistance and the next support. However, if we break this one, then I can see that there's nothing here. There's a void. So probably I would be looking at this diagonal as a potential support in the future, or maybe this horizontal. And that's how you play this box. And you can see how relevant they can be. And this was something that was posted a year ago. So I mean, that's how I use gann. This is the only remaining tool that I have forgone. Is this modified box, but I mean, it is amazing. Well, recently I started to do something. I have this friend. I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm I'm gonna share this. It's Captain Blackbird on Twitter.
What's his
He
name?
is Captain Blackbird. It's right there on the screen. So this person
Okay.
is
Cap
crazy.
Blackbird. Okay.
He is a polymath. The mind of this guy has no limits. I mean, if I tell you that I'm good at math, this guy is like Einstein level mathematician. And we started talking many, many years ago, probably like 8, 9 years ago. And based on Gon and Ichimoku, I was telling him and we were, you know, getting feedback from each other on theories. He developed a set of indicators because I wanted to be able to square the chart for to use Gone. I needed
Is
to
this the
square the
guy? Cap
chart.
Blackbird. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's the one.
Okay.
So what I wanted to do was to find a way to pull up a real 45-degree angle in order to work on my gun tools. So the most important angle for gann is a 45-degree angle. But you can do that on TradingView because of the screen resolution. TradingView doesn't allow you to
There's
square
a
the chart.
workaround. I'll show you. I'll show you how to do that because I use the 45
Yeah,
degree angle a lot.
there are a couple of them, but I still don't trust them. So I literally, when I do gann angles, I grab a pen and paper and I do them by hand. For some reason, I just cannot trust any method to the, but I will listen to that. So he developed a system on TradingView to find the real 45-degree angle. That system is gone. However, he just came out with a new indicator. The indicator is called this one right here, the Web Nodes Multitool by Blackbird. So when you pull up that indicator, which
Yeah.
it takes a minute, you click apply here. It's gonna bring a series of, let me just pull them bigger. Let me do
While that
4
is
here.
loading, guys, Crypto
There you go.
says, or Joe is dropping some proper serious alpha here, guys. I think share some love. There's about 250 people joining in live. Just give him some love here, man. Give him a 555 in the chat or something. I mean, and
Thank you,
go
my
and
brother.
follow his Twitter account. I do have that Twitter account open for you guys, so you can see that. Make sure to go and follow this guy. There's some proper alpha being dropped here. Joe Mitoshi, there you have it. Crypto says, make sure to go and follow him, guys. Thanks, Joe. Continue on, buddy. You're dropping some
Thank you, my
serious alpha.
brother. I really appreciate that.
Triple
So
fives are piling in. They're coming. They're coming. Look at there on the screen.
there you go.
Triple
There
fives
you
are coming
go.
in.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
guys. There, I'm in a watershed. Yes, I mean, I'm just sitting here, mate, taking notes.
So where?
I don't need to do anything. Thanks,
So
Joe.
you get the web,
Continue, buddy.
the the indicator here. It's gonna give you a series of nodes. These nodes are important behaviors and points of inflection for the price action. I'm not really sure the math he's using here because obviously that's proprietary to him, so his
Yeah,
intellectual property. But I'm telling you, his math is just out of this world. So the way I'm using these right now is like you use them as anchor points. So for the first time, probably in 5 years, I'm using gone tools again. So for example, I can take this node, which was the lowest one and the one that started the bull trend, and then I can put my anchor point for the GAN fan right there. And then
on
I
that
can
one, yeah.
project, I'm gonna project the fan from one node to the other one right there. And boom, you got it. Let me just put this darker so we can see it. And then this, there you go. So this my GAN font is gonna be rooted on, I'm telling you, on a crazy math. And then you can use that as a guide for a lot of things. For example, you can see how the price has been using this level as a support for a long time. We're about to touch that one again. So this is a one-to-one line for the GAN fund. No, this is a one-to-one. So this is the most important support for the price action right now.
Yes.
However, if we break this one, then you can see how the math gets correlated. If we breach that level, that means the price is going to breach the Kumo. So we're going to get into a deeper correction. If we get into a deeper correction, then we can the next place to find support to long or buy again would be the one-to-one GAN line because it's going to be the strongest one. So that's one way to use it, for example. Another way that we can use it is like probably correlate different fans. We can do this from the local top here in 2021, and we can move it to this probably node right there. And this is interesting because we can find the intersection points for pivots. For example, we have a pivot right there because we're intersecting here on the one-to-one. That was probably a week before the August 5. Let me just change the color of this so they're not that confusing. There you go, a green. So we can have another intersection point of the one-to-one here, and boom, that's a local top before the big drop. We have another intersection there, another local top before a small drop. We have another intersection point here, which is falling on December 22 22nd, which is actually a major date for my system for waves and particles. So on
Okay.
and all, by using this, actually this one, December 29th is a pivot. So by using this, we already have another data set, something to look for. And you can see there's a lot of actually points that converge right there. We have this one, we have this one, and we have this one. So that means December 29th is going to be a major pivot for the price action. So what's going on? What are we going to do? Well, it's very simple. Is we go up from here and we reach December and we are on December at a very important level, let's say here or maybe even here, then I know that there is a very high chance or high probability that this is going to be a local top and we might go down from there. On the other hand, for example, let's say if we keep fooling around here and let's say we're touching the Kumo and we're touching the angle exactly on that date, then I know there's a very high chance that that's going to be a reversal. And if that's a reversal, that might bring another bull leg. Or maybe that's the day that we finally break for the first time in a long time. Maybe that's the day that we break this level. But the important thing to know is that that week, there's a margin of error, by the way, on the system. Gone
Yeah.
had a margin of error of 2 candles for his states.
Two
The
candles
system,
on either
two
side,
candles,
or
either side. For waves
so
and
it's a
particles,
5 candle margin that you need to be
exactly,
acting in.
exactly. For waves and particles, the system is so accurate that my margin of error is just 1 candle. So when you have a pivot on December 29th, that means that pivot can happen the week before or the week
Or the
after,
week after.
but that's it. So basically, and that's it. That's where we are right now, and that's how I've been using Gone recently in the past couple months again, because of it's and this is very. I mean, you're an architect. Probably you see this and you see a building right here. I mean, because this is like one of those two convergent lines when you do like perspectives, right?
Yeah.
And I can do a nice building here, the 3D building. I mean, but I'm like that too. I mean, I got a BFA in visual communication, so I'm basically a glorified graphic designer. But I mean,
Okay.
this is just a lot of lateral thinking. I mean, some people understand numbers, some people understand visuals in a better way, and to me this is natural, so I do a lot of play with this. I have fun with this stuff. I mix and match. I try to keep it simple because obviously I don't want to get into over analysis, but these are probably ways that we can try to grasp little ideas and little hints and mostly find confirmation or confluence from different systems to the things that we're looking at for the future. And the rest is simple. And by the way, this is all just 10% of successful trading. The other 90% is what you do between the two temples. The other 90% is your risk management, your composure, your patience, your discipline, and your emotional control. I mean, without that, it doesn't matter how good you are at forecasting the price action, you're not going to do anything. Simple as that.
Now this is
There.
an amazing angle. I've got a Gann trick I want to show you that might just
Hmm.
add
Hmm.
some confluence to your Ikimoco system there. So what I need to do though is I just need to quickly load, because when I dropped off for a few minutes there, don't know if you saw, my internet just disappeared on me. So I had to reboot the router, and now everything kind of seems a little laggy and slow on my end. So I just quickly want to get my Ikimoco set to yours. So it's a 9, a 26. I've been taking notes, guys. 52, and then another
M26.
26. There we go. So this is now loaded according to your values. So I'm bring up my screen real quick. So It doesn't have everything switched on. I just basically looked at the, just basically quickly just did that. All the other stuff still needs to, I don't know. This is maybe oh, this is the one I made for crypto banter. let's load the. I've got so many indicators I created over the years for people. Let's look for another Ikimoco. There we go. That should be the right one. Yes, there we go. Sorry about this.
Perfect.
Guys, so now there's the settings in. Okay, cool. Now, what I will do, though, is maybe just make this a little... I'll hide this for now. We can just see on the screen. Now, typically what will happen is, from the RSI point of view, I probably just need to switch to this. This will work. From the RSI point of view, what I look for is I look for the first wave where price goes from overbought or oversold to overbought. That's typically your first wave for any impulse, whether you're now on the 15-minute or whether you're on the daily, doesn't really matter. And then I use the gann fan, the speed resistance fan. And what I do is I've got the settings set as follows. So I take everything off. I just use the 38.2. which isn't a gann number. It's a Fibonacci number, but still very powerful. And then what I do is, once we have that initial wave created and we have our retrace, okay, now look at this. So take away the RSI. I don't need that. I remain bullish for as long as on each high we stay above that line. Now, this has been, like I said, this is an interesting anomaly in a way, because it's like a shakeout buy. We didn't really fill the gap properly there, so we had like a double bottom. Any strategy does have its limitations, as you know, and times where it just bites the bullet. But there we're back above that line. And then from this point onwards, what you do is you keep that line. Every time we make a new high, you keep that line. Every time we make a new high. As soon as you break that, that means the end of a wave. So you can ride the momentum of something as long as, when you're in a breakout, as long as we stay above that level. And the beauty about this is, say you may be late to a trend. Now, let's go to Dash as an example.
That's a very
Say you're late to a trend. Yeah. So now here's Dash. I'm going to scale Dash. My internet's very slow at the moment. So I'm just going to go to the 4-hour time frame. The argument is, because we've now created our initial, wherever it would be, it probably would be there, but it will be messy. So let's bring in the RSI. This time frame would be this entire move. So we need to go even smaller in order to get that first wave. So let's see where we have our first wave. There's our first wave. Okay. So with Dash, that is the first wave. Okay, so you'll have your anomaly where it shakes you out. So I'm just going to snap it in there, shakes you out. And then from that point onwards, as long as we stay above that 32 fan, you stay in the trend. Okay. There was the end of a wave. Okay. Now you can either take profit, because you never know how high something's going to go. So you need to have a system that just, there you take profit. But now what you're doing is, as you're doing that, you'll probably have your strong bullish divergence, whatever it's going to find, or wait until it reclaims that. And when it does, what you do is you keep moving that up. Keep moving that up. And that almost becomes like for lack of what the exchanges does, is like a trailing stop. And you stay in that. And where we're at right now, yet again, do we buy and FOMO in on Dash? No, because we broke the trend. You can clearly see, as long as we were following this, you can stay in the move where it's at now. Now you need to go to your trading systems and your strategies and everything else to say, well, now let's hunt for a new long if you want to be bullish, or your analysis with the gann and the time to be bullish. And if we reclaim that level, you keep tracking it, because it's going to keep on going. Yeah.
And that's amazing, because it actually matches the resistant area that we just do for Dash.
And it's so simple to apply. So it's like a beginner's tool for this.
Can you tell me how did you did the fan again?
Okay, so first step, the
From
fan
scratch?
is yeah. So the fan isn't the first step. So step one, you look for the RSI to do this. So simple, just that break from one side to the others, because that is
Mm-hmm.
typically from an Elliott wave point of view. So your Elliott wave, well, that would be your wave one, that would be your two, okay? Then somewhere
Oh,
in
okay.
there would be your third wave, because you're going to have a higher high and a lower high in your RSI. That's three. There's wave four, because you're going to have hidden bullish divergence between 2 and 4. And then you will have wave five, which will then obviously give you a higher high, but with strong bearish divergence. So, doing this was the trickiest thing for me, and the easiest thing once I realized this. So I'm going to bring back the price just to and overlay that now. So let's make this same size. You can see there. Now, if I do exactly the same thing and I apply the Elliott wave there's wave one, there's wave two. So now I'm using the RSI to define the waves, not the price action, because that's what everybody tends to try and do. So now there's wave three. You can see there, lower low, higher low. Immediately there's wave three. There's wave four. So what's four? Four stays above one. All the rules are there. And then wave five. And then there you have it, your higher high, your RSI, everything. So that's it. Now we're going in the correction system. So the correction works on the same way.
ABC.
So let's talk ABC. Okay. So ABC typically would be a set of three waves. So you'll have set of three waves. And that normally on the RSI will then show up as the following. You'll have your first wave, douche, and then you'll have a correction, and then you have your second wave. And that 80-20 rule, as I normally say, so what's going to happen here is you'll have your first A, B, C, and within that, you'll count them as three waves, and three waves. Then you'll have your first A. Then you'll have your three waves to get to your B. And then you'll have five waves, A, B, C, and then, that X, Y, W, Z, five waves to the downside. And then this C will typically then give you the imbalance between this as your buy zone for your two. Then this will become a 1-2 if there's going to be prolonged move to the upside. So now you've got all that kind of laid out. So to get back to the gann then, if that's the way all waves function, that 80-20 rule, your Elliott wave rules, now you're saying to yourself, how do I keep myself in the move? And how do I know when to buy the dip? Because that's the hardest part. Yet again, the way you've said it out is overcoming the patience and the frustrations of, waiting and sitting on your hands. Say, Giggle is up 100%, guys. We need to buy. How the hell is this not happening? What's the problem? The system is not there yet. I cannot act. That's the rule, And so then I use this then, say to myself, let the first wave occur. So I want the first wave on the Elliott wave structure to form first. So the rule with trading as well is, as you know, you almost don't. My system works a little different. I'm not investing. This is trading now. I'm not a trader. We don't want to look for the low, because the low can keep on being lower, because the trend is your friend until it breaks. So a trader, you're looking for a high to buy. It's contradictory to what everybody teaches you, because everybody says buy low, sell high. So it's so simple, but it isn't. You cannot think like something that goes on sale is a bargain in real life, because that's how we indoctrinate it. When you go into a store, there's always a signboard that says apples was $5 last week a bag, now it's $3. It's a sale. You must buy some. Your car, this car cost $100 last month. This month it's up for $80,000. This is a bargain. You need to buy. So then when we think on our coins, we think the same way. Well, it was 100. Bitcoin was $100 just the $120,000 just the other day. It's $100,000. It might be a good deal. We must buy. It doesn't work that way. That's how the 90% thinks. If it's going down, it's bad, because you're losing critical support. So that kind of mindset. So based on that, for a trader, I say, well, if it's going to go up, it needs to prove it to me, and that's why I wait for that first wave, because then I know the other 90% will say, well, okay, so it's going higher, but it needs to go lower first, because I'm going to buy that low. They're always scared to act at these levels. That typical mentality. And I went through that. So now that we have that first wave completed, only after the first wave's completed. Then you start tracking the momentum by moving that onto each and every candle high. So I'm just going to take away all the other noise now, moving that onto each and every candle high. So if that's the higher high candle on the day, that's it. As long as we're above that, you're bullish and you can buy. Knowing that your invalidation, if you were late to the move, is there and your invalidation is there. You're just going to have to stomach that amount of retrade because that's by the time the system will tell you you were wrong, only then. And if the next day is another high, you keep on doing that. And you keep on staying with the move for as long as you can squeeze the juices out of this thing. And yet again, this is where why people are break-even traders, is because what happens is they try and make money today with the trade. So I had a trade on Bitcoin. It failed. So I'm just going to bring this screen down. Let me just, simple. We were trading this setup a little bit earlier. It failed. So now because that failed, they lose complete confidence and they risk probably, say, $500 on that trade. So come the next trade, they risk $300. And maybe when there's $300 profit, they scared they lose and they get out. That's that problem. Where I know my true success lies in the fact that sometimes I need to stomach these losses because when I win, I'm big. You know, that's the trader way. Let me just And now I can hear me. Now you can hear me as well. Audio good. Now you can hear me. Hello. There we go. Audio good. Joe, say something. I'm giving up on you.
I'm here.
Yes,
I was trying to reach you like, Rudo, your sound is not working.
This is now the thing. So where did we lose each other? Let's maybe do this. Then where did I lose you guys?
When you were talking about that you have to stomach the losses.
Okay, when I went to full screen to show this. Okay, so basically, so the frustrating thing with this is just the point that I'm trying to make is, you guys, there you 9 loss, $119. I mean, that's nothing, but it's losing me. Stop at break even, wait for the next trade. That's the kind of thing on that. But then comes the good one, and it's staying in the trade. That changes the whole thing. Staying in the trade. This is the last trade we took together, you know, when I was on the short from 113. I accidentally closed this position. I was supposed to still be in it, so I still need to retake it. And the point that I was trying to make with that then is, when we look at the let me just double back on what I wanted to say. So what you do is, guys, when you're in that winning trade, just like your Ikimoco system, wait for the first wave to play out. You now know how to identify that using the RSI. Once that first wave is there, you use your Ikimoco and you literally just track that highs. And even if you're late to the party, like it feels with Dash, you know, like we say, we feel late to the party. We can look at Zcash now as well. Even if you're late to the party, you can enter where the hell ever you want. There's no rule that says you have to buy. You can buy it right there, but you just need to use this as your trailing support level. And as time goes on, you need to update it every time it makes a higher high. And understand that when it breaks, that's when you need to use your trading systems to either look for continuation, which in this instance, the Elliott wave pointed out, or ultimately it's going to break a trend once at some stage and it's never going to reclaim that level. And then that's your cue to know that the move is over. So for Dash at this stage, there's the move. Until this pump reclaims that level at least, this is over. And the correction is a more probable play than the impulse. And yes, now this is where Elliott wave becomes exceptionally. I don't even try and label these, but you can see that it's a series of 3 waves: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's a messy little correction, but that's typically what your correction waves look like. So yeah, that's the system. Any questions on that, Joe?
No, so far I'm following,
Okay.
taking my notes too.
Yeah, so it's a very simple system, just a 38.2 on the speed fan. I've got my own way of looking at time analysis as well, that I can probably show you at some stage. I would love to see your or learn more about your numbers, your maths, your formulas. I also had a level formula system on square roots, which I'm not going to try do now, where you take each support level and you multiply it by its square root, add it to the previous support level. And funny enough, that gives you amazingly accurate levels as you go up. I don't know
Yeah,
if you know about that,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
which
have.
is also
When
part of the
you,
geometry stuff.
well, yeah, no, it's crazy. Actually, I was gonna tell you that. One of the
I'm
things
going
that
to bring up your
truly,
screen.
oh, perfect. One of the things that really struck me, like really made me think about, it was a simple concept. Let me just go back to a really old chart. So, there you go. So let's go to the monthly and let me go to logarithm. So when I started dwelling into these theories and stuff like that, was when I bought Bitcoin around $400 here, 2016.
Yeah.
So I was learning about trend lines, and I figured that I was looking at the trend lines, and you can see like I was, the first thing that I realized was like, why does the price follow these trend lines over time? And I thought to myself, well, it's impossible. Mathematically, it's impossible that this can be crafted by anyone, because obviously you have to have unlimited amount of bitcoins and unlimited amount of money to manipulate the price in such a way for years and years and years, so it follows a natural trend and the price reacting to certain levels. So there must be something else behind it. And it's when I started to go to studying the math of the things. So when you go deep into, like you said, square roots, physics, quantum physics, Elliott waves, Ichimoku, and you start to break it down to the core mathematical level, you start to see the common points. And it's crazy because you can literally see, in other words, the fabric of the universe and the play of space and time in the chart action, regardless of what the fundamentals are. And that's what brought waves and particles to life. That's why it is called
Okay.
waves and particles, because it's a nod to quantum physics and how things happen in the universe, in terms of cycles, in terms of time. I mean, years, or cosmic cycles and stuff like that. It's all connected through math. So the reason I go there is because when you find a set of numbers that are common among all of the systems, then you know that was my aha moment, is where I started to develop the formulas for waves and particles. And you can see that there are some levels and stuff like that. For example, Fibonacci is the most is the one that people know the most. So you get your Fibonacci levels and you project them, and it's a golden ratio. And we know the golden ratio is present on everything in the universe. You know that because you're an architect. So you probably know the
Correct.
golden ratio better than anyone else. So but I have found other constants that are just simply crazy. For example, constants in physics. Like literally, you go to and you study the Euler's number, um, and and then you grab the math before from that mathematical sequence, and you start breaking it down towards the price action, and it's crazy. You start to get stuff like this and like these and like these and like these, and you're like, that's mental. That's just crazy how mathematical sequence doesn't have anything to do with the price action or with value or with human psychology can be so precise to define important levels. But that's certainly a rabbit hole. And like I said, I mean,
Yeah,
it's just for
the
someone
whole
who
thing gets
really
deep.
loves this stuff. But really the sky is the limit. I mean, you can go as deep as you want. Obviously, at a certain point, you gotta stop and you gotta take it and figure out how you apply that to the chart in a simple way. This is what I did basically with waves and particles. But I mean, you can go as deep as you want, and it's endless. And but it's beautiful. I mean, at least I find myself sometimes I using my own pivots and I using my own dates. And I say one of the recent ones, which was the craziest ones, was January 9th of 2023. I wanted to push my system as far as I could. And I shared that date, January 9th, 2023, in 2021, like in February. So imagine that. I went to Twitter, and in February 2021, I go and said, you got to pay attention to January 9th, 2023, because that's going to be a major date for Bitcoin. And I mean, that was 2 years before it happened. I couldn't possibly even know what was going to be the fate of that date. And then we moved, we went to 64, we did the double top, we had the correction, we had the bear market. I was completely, blown in my mind when I realized that a day that I posted 2 years before was the exact weekly candle that started this bull trend. And when you think about that, it's like, I mean, it is simply crazy. But if you're able to understand how it works and how that universe works, it's when I talk about the solar storms. When I talk about
Mhm.
the solar storms, people go crazy. I mean, you go here to NOAA Space Center, and let me
Yeah.
see there, and you can see
Okay.
here,
NOAA Space
th-
Center. Okay.
yeah, this is that what where when you can track the planetary index and the solar storms and stuff like that. So I was playing with the information of our brain waves and how we are affected in our decision making by electromagnetic impulses from the solar storms. And you can see, for example, here that we have a crazy forecast for the next 3 days. You can see Yi1 storm, Yi3 storm actually today. Is the price dumping right now?
Yeah, it's coming down. I got stopped out my long.
Yeah, it makes sense because you can see here there's a massive solar storm here happening right now. And people go like, so what does the sun has to do with the price action? You're stupid, you're ridiculous, you're dumb. How you could be talking about that? But in reality is like, for example, I went out there and I spent probably like 4 months correlating the solar activity every single day down to the 5 minutes with the price action for 6 months, and the relationship, it's simply undeniable. So when you think about the science of it, because this doesn't have anything to do with astrology. People think I'm an astrologer, but I'm not an astrologer. I'm actually more a scientist than anything else. So what happens is like when you have a big solar storm, so there is a massive influx of electromagnetic waves towards the Earth. We have a natural protector with our very own electromagnetic field, but some of those
Yeah.
waves are going to enter the planet. So what happens is like your brain is just an electrical device. When those storms hit the Earth, they mess up with communication, they mess up with GPS systems, they mess up with computers, with telecommunications, because the electromagnetic waves, they affect everything that is electronic. But guess what? Your brain is an electronic device because your brain is firing neurons and electric impulses on a daily
Correct.
basis, a hundred of millions, trillions of times a day. So when you get hit with electromagnetic impulses from the solar storm, a few
You
things are
might
going
make
to
a
happen.
compromised decision. Yeah.
Yeah, you get, first of all, you can get insomnia, you can get headaches for starters, but the most important part is that it's going to trigger a response in your brain. So people truly, and this is probably more philosophical talk. This comes from ego. We as human have this tendency to think that we can control things, that we are masters of our universe. Well, the reality is that we are just a freaking particle speck of dust floating in space among trillions and trillions of galaxies and stars and planets. So we don't control shit. So I'm sorry to
But
break it down.
no, but the truth is, you just need to go and look at one or two mentalists, predict what number you're going to choose, or who you're going to, what the name of the person you're going to pick out of your phone book,
Mhm.
to realize that you don't have control over your
We
choices.
don't. We don't. And when you strip down all the philosophical talk, for example, if you go to religions, if you really strip down the textbooks and you, or Buddhism, for example, when they tell you to meditate so you are mindful, so you understand that you are at the present, it's just because of that. What he's telling you is like we are just on this vessel on this brief amount of time in our life just to experience the present, whatever it is and however it
Yeah.
is. We don't
However,
control
it's going to
anything.
flow. Yeah.
And when you learn to tame your ego, when you learn to understand that you are nothing but just simple a conduit of experience every day in your life, you live happily because you strip down from a lot of way from expectations, from deception, disappointments, because you think things are going to go one way, but there's very few things you can the only thing you can control are your emotions and your thoughts. And even so, so when you get these solar storms, we get into a state of panic. It's a natural response. So the electromagnetic waves from the solar storm, they're going to hit the amygdala. When you get hit the amygdala, you get into a state of fear, and usually, what happens is that the solar storm exacerbates the volatility of the direction of the trend. So, if we go to the
Whatever it's
four
going to be.
hour, exactly. So, you get into a 4 hour right now, you can see we're getting hit by a storm right now. The main trend is down. So, obviously, the volatility increases towards the direction of the trend. So I seen it and I proved that like a million times over the past 8 years on my feed. It's just so crazy. Does that mean that I can trade, that I can predict where the price is going to be with the solar storm? No, it doesn't mean that. What it does mean
Yeah.
is that solar storms are predictable with a range of 30 days or so. So we have a pretty much idea of how the solar storms are going to develop in the next 3 to 5 days. So if I know that there is a big solar storm coming, and if the train, for example, it's going down, then I know there's a good chance that volatility increases towards the direction of the trend. On the other hand, if the trend is going up, and I can see that prior to the storm we are hitting a support, then there's a good probability that the storm is going to bring volatility towards the direction of the main
Mhm.
trend. So, but these are all things, like I said, it's a deep rabbit hole. We can evaluate, we can play with it, we can do a bunch of things, but they matter. And at the end of the day, we're gathering these tools just so we're able to control our emotions and extract as much opportunity as we can from the markets. But
in
if
the
we
market.
can step in, if we keep stepping on our own toes and tripping down or falling down because we are not able to remain composed and control our emotions, we're gonna fail over and over. For example, the euphoria from people. That's why I'm always against guys like I talked about this yesterday. The responsibility you gotta have when you have a big influence, when you are a big account. For example, I was like, of course we're not going to know what's going to happen, but if you are looking at a major resistance, all of these accounts they might have like, I know, 100K, 500K, 700K, and they're telling you here 126, get ready,
Bitcoin 150,
uh
yeah. Now they're
because we're going
shitting
to
me off
200, we're going to 150. When it's a non-resistance, I mean, you gotta have some responsibility, man. I mean, you're an asshole because you're telling 500,000 people to buy 126 when even you might be ignorant that this is a resistance, but still, I mean, you gotta be responsible for the things you say. That's why I'm always telling people, like, be mindful with sentiment. Pay attention when everyone is going crazy. Pay attention when things are truly hitting the fan in both ways, because I mean, you're just gonna be a victim of your emotions. And I sound like a broken record, but
No,
that's
but
why
it's
I
true.
talk so much about this. I mean, you gotta fight the euphoria and the fear because it's basically what wrecks every single person. I mean, just buying the top and selling the bottom is just crazy.
Each and
It's
every
just
time.
like, yeah, I mean,
And
but I
it's
mean,
a play on other people's vulnerabilities, because the reality is, if you want to grow your account, you need to be giving them what they want to hear. And I know this out of history. I mean, I was part of accounts that grew like crazy, and I saw the mechanics behind it, and it just doesn't sit
well,
nice with
yeah, I
me.
mean,
And the reality
that works.
is, yeah, that's what works. That's why they're at that
No,
size,
I was gonna
is
say that
because
works
of
if you, that works if you're a mercenary, if you don't have principles. Why
that.
do you think I have 90K followers? I mean, every single influencer right now that you see with 500, 600, 700K followers started with me between 2016 and 2017. I know them all personally. And what happens is, like, back in 2017, when I was, using my account as a diary from my research and my studies, obviously I had to share what I was looking at the charts, while these people were only bullpussing and just eating, just drinking the Kool-Aid, like, we're going up,
Yeah,
we're going up, we're
you're
going
gonna
up, and
go.
posting memes and stuff like that. Actually, I had a lot of beef. You have no idea in 2017 how people used to make fun of my research, like, I mean, look at Joe playing with his colors and his crazy lines and his astrology and his stuff. And really, they canceled me out. I could remember some of them remain good friends with me. Some of them are idiots. We block each other from the few years. But
Yeah,
in reality, I saw them because they were just shit posting basically, and they grew by shit posting. Obviously, they capitalize with that nowadays with their, by shilling trash and stuff like that, but that's what they do. But I could never sell myself to that. I'm like, I'm not gonna say something is gonna go up just for the sake of it, because it's not. I mean, I can see the chart is bearish and I'm gonna say it. I mean, I don't care if I get more or less followers. I mean, it's just about being true to your core and your principles. I mean, that's how I conduct myself. And some people might be, well, you're an idiot or whatever, but I mean, it's just at least how I feel happy. And
I can
and
sleep at
and and
night. That's what's
exactly.
key there.
That's exactly.
I
That's
just need to be able
exactly
to sleep
right.
at night.
That's
So
exactly right. But well, I mean,
I've got one thing I
we're
want
not
to
here
show
to
you.
judge. Mhm.
Pardon? Say that again.
I was saying that we're not here to judge. Everyone will do
Yeah,
whatever it's going to do. I mean,
yeah.
the best thing we can do is just to work on getting better every day as an individual and hope that we do it good. So that's all we can do.
That's it. That's all we can do. So this is a
Yeah.
nice little hack that I want to add on to where when you were showing the Bitcoin on the logarithmic, that you can maybe incorporate, and we can discuss on future streams as well. So any impulse, if you have a move to the high, to the low, so you basically just draw a line, nothing real
Okay.
crazy. But the funny thing is when you start aligning to try and look at timing, because that's the spirit of what we're doing, time
Yes.
analysis.
Yes.
Okay, so now you've got the low. I mean, that was the low, that was the high. Okay, now yet again, the frustrating thing is, as long as we do what we stay above the angle, okay, we're bullish.
Mm-hmm.
Once we're below the angle, you need to worry that at some stage we will break through. And what
Exactly.
happens is now we're making a low. So you need to give a little bit it before you can have a little bit, as technical analysis go. You need to let go a wave in order to find out where next is going to be. So now we've got a low, we've got a high, we've got a low, we've got a level. So where's our support level? Right there. Now what I can do is I can use that line and put it on there and say, okay, right, what are we doing? Okay, we're moving from a low to a high. As long as we stay above that line, we're bullish. Fall below that line, we're bearish. Once we're bearish, we move that line over and we can do the whole same thing again. Now you start zooming in. What happens? Price starts respecting that line in the future. Fall below that line, move your line over, plug that in. What happens? Price respects that line until it doesn't. Where it breaks, move the line again. Now you're looking for support. Okay. This time it fell through. It turned support into resistance. So it's not ready to go up. So you can have these. It's not a roadmap. I call it a destination map because it just tells you something's going to happen there. You don't really know what, whether it's going to go up, continue to the upside or to the downside. But there you have that levels again. And as long as we stay above the support level, you're going to keep on tracking the price. Now, what I didn't do is when we were here, we were making a new higher high. So what needs to happen now is there's the new support. We're breaking through. Let's just move that over again. Breaking through, move the line over. Let's just correct that again. There we go. Move that over. Now we're looking for support. We broke that again. Move that over. Sorry, this is one of those tricky ones. There's the high. So, but you keep on keeping the line on. So it's a simple strategy because you're keeping the same angle. But what happens is now we're finally at that support level, which we now know to be there. Okay. And now we're crossing through those levels and you keep on doing exactly the same. Move the line over. If we cross through that level, big moves happen. So you've got that
Is that a 45-degree angle?
No. That angle was drawn there.
Oh, yeah,
so you can use
I remember.
basically
The first leg.
the
The first leg.
Yeah. So the basis of what gann and a lot of these, you see there, as long as you stay above the line, you're bullish. Fall below the line, you're bearish. When you fall below the line, where you do that, you put the line down, you move that over, and in the future, you will have that same reaction there. And what I keep on forgetting to do is when you do that, you have to use the last time cross the low there as your new support level. Okay, just move that over. And then as that time,
so where we are today.
So when we get back to that line, you start moving forward again. And there we've crossed it. So we're going to have to move this over to this low here. And we're going to have to move that over there. And then we can use this line. And there we picked up the trend again. Okay. And yet again, guys, this is the same line, everything that I've been using now since 2015. That's the power of this. Now, when you fall below the line, you're bearish. Okay. And where did we cross? We crossed below that level there. Where was the low? There was the low. You move that up. Okay. Move that line over. Okay. And then let's zoom in, go into the daily. See the significance of this. This is now a line from 2015 again. Just to give you that time analysis. Fall below that line.
That's where you became bearish.
Yes. Move that over. Move that up. Move that over. And now look at where the confluence is. You've got a chart that you shared a little bit area with price still needing to go down at 105, you said? What was your target? 104,500, if I'm not
95.
mistaken.
95.
Yeah, you had 104,500 and you had 95. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So 104,500, 104,500 and 95.
Okay, and there you have it. And now you wait for price to either reach that level, and you start looking for your next bullish move. And these kind of time hacks, I mean, I love using them. I've got
I love
another
that.
one.
Pure geometry. That's
Yeah,
beautiful
so
geometry.
this one has been bastardized. A lot of people have used it, but I did this way in the beginning. I have to admit, so I can claim it.
They are
And that is
asking you
using the
if we are
halving.
on a bear market.
Pardon?
They're asking you if we are on a bear market.
Okay, yeah. So the question is, well, according to this chart, let me answer that. So when you have halvings for Bitcoin, so yet again, just looking at the maths, because this is what it is, time analysis, you're just trying to look at maths and dates. So we know when halving 1 was, we know when halving 2, 3, 4 is, and we kind of have an idea where halving 5 is going to happen in March 2028. And what we do know is when you put a time fib between the halving lines, and you use the 38 Fibonacci level and the 618 Fibonacci level on that timeline, it gives you an idea that around that is where the top is, and around the 618 is where the bottom is. Now, the interesting thing is I don't have data like you have with yours to tell you what is your candle margin on this. You know, I need to focus on that a little bit more. But then when you move that same fib now, and let me delete the other fibs, because what is the fixed points we have? We've got the halvings to look into the future. So that's the one fixed constant we have. So now when you move that over into the next basis and you adjust for the time analysis, what you find, 38.2 top, 618 bottom. You move that over again, 38.2 top, 618 bottom. And I mean, I'm not making up the dates. The dates are there. I mean, it's there. And so by that definition, and this is why guys, but it's different this time. Yes, it's different. We didn't go parabolic. You didn't have it crazy alt season, but it's so much so the same. So according to me and where we are, so the halving is probably going to be in March 2028. We know that there's a little bit of a, it moves around. There's that website halving dates which you can use. But nearest makes no difference. Top, bottom. That's it. And that kind of helps you manage your expectations. So 125, we reached the price point I wanted. We reached the date I wanted. I was hoping we could be at 150 or 200 by October this year. But we got there. Right? That's what we had on the table. And I was hoping for October just like everybody else. But when it broke the critical support by my system, the rule, when it broke the rule here on the weekly, and the weekly said 100 and what was it? I'm loading the chart now. When it fell below that level, 119, this was bad for me. And so that's the key about time analysis. So are we in a bear market? To get to your answer, technically, we've never been in a bear market if you look at Bitcoin on the weekly time frame. It's just been retracing. If you think of your Ikimoco tells the exactly same picture. Where's your Ikimoco cloud? It does the same thing. So we have not, Bitcoin hasn't seen a bear market yet. Technically, if you look at this on a monthly time frame.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm going to bring up your chart there. Same story there. You've got, it's not in a bear market, but there's room for pullbacks. And it's those kind of pullbacks that's going to feel like a bear market for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm just going to show you something, for example. You can see here on just by looking at Ichimoku and the cloud, why in 2024, I said to people that if I go back here, like the market behavior was going to be different than whatever we had just by looking at the monthly Ichimoku. And obviously, the problem here that happened is that people expected this to keep following through. However, Ichimoku told you that was not going to be the case. And that's why in 2024, in March, exactly when I was expecting the top, I told people like, hey, listen, you wanted institutions here. Institutions are here. And it happens so that we are on a major yearly pivot for Bitcoin, according to my system. So the vibration of the chart is going to change significantly. It's not going to be as easy as it was in the previous years, and there are going to be far more traps and far more crazy things. The reason for that, you can see, is because the structure of the Ichimoku cloud changed completely. You can see here, you have a flat red cloud, thin green, flat red,
Yeah,
thin green.
very flat. Yeah.
But when we were in 2024, things changed. We started to develop a flatter Kumo. In which sense, basically, what that Kumo was telling you there uh, more than a year ago was the following: was that the Kumo flattening out. Basically, what's going to happen is that the price is going to reflect that, because the Kumo is not like this, the Kumo is not like this. So the price, instead of doing this, was about in the future to follow that Kumo and do this. So basically, when you close that replay, that's what you get. Now the Kumo is trending, but you can see it's a different Kumo
Yeah, it's a completely
structure
different structure. Yeah.
that what it was before, and you can see why we've had basically this type of behavior in the past 18 months. Is because that's why I said the Kumo tracing towards the future is so powerful. People have no idea how powerful it is, but it's actually telling you what the price is going to do, how it wants to behave. And that's why we, instead of having the full, 10 candles doing 1,000% like we had in the previous cycles, we're getting all this bullshit that when the price goes up 100%, retrace 40, 100%, retrace 40, 100%, retrace 40, is because simply the structure in terms of the balance of the price action is entirely different from Ichimoku. And it's not going to lie, and it's not going to get, I mean, fundamentally, unless something crazy like a black swan or a white swan happens, the price is going to reflect that Kumo over time. It's as simple as that. So that's that's why probably most got completely,
Kind of stick to
sidetracked
chart.
and confused and exhausted in the past year or so. That's why people kept calling for 100K for 8 months last year, and it didn't happen. Then it finally did happen. They were calling for 200. Then we went down to 74. Then we went one. So it's just been a process of basically, it looks, it has gone up a lot, but it has been a profit of a slow, movements over time, which is basically brought people to wherever they are today, which is a place where 99% of people are completely wrecked, basically. So, and it just has to do with understanding of the price structure. People think price is always going to do this and it's always going to do that. But all it takes is just going to older charts of maybe ancient chart. You can go, for example, to Amazon and see the first 20 years, and you can see that even though there are places where the price went up a lot, right? You got a lot of places of this when the price accumulated for a long, long, long time. And people are simply not used to that in crypto. People are used in crypto to up only. And then once
Yeah,
you
that's
get a
all.
long, long time like that, is when you can really enjoy upsides like that. And but you can see again, there are going to be times where the price is not going to trend up and it's not going to trend down, but simply it's just going to work on its process until it develops the next move. As simple as that. That's all there is to it. So, and it's a chip basically that we get in our head. And like I said, Twitter loves to parrot those kinds of things like tariffs are about to get cut, we're going up. October, we're going up only, and stuff like that. So, but the chart remains king, and it's always going to show you where the trend is going to go. I mean, that's why to answer the question of that person that asked if we were on a bearish market, I mean, if we go through our systems, Rudo just says something about that. I'm sharing something about that here too. I am not bullish. I am not bearish. The only thing that I know of right now is that we have a major support at 64, and I have a major resistance at 122. I don't know if we're gonna go down there. I don't know if we're gonna break this soon, but whatever it is, I know that we need to resolve some sort of process here over time before we can start thinking about this is a bird trend, it's all over, sell it all, or we're going to the moon in a week. So I mean, time, the price has to access, and that's where people mostly fail when it comes to timing, the aspect of timing. They only evaluate price. 99% of people only evaluate price, but what they got to understand is there is an intrinsic relationship between time, price, and time, and that relationship matters. So I mean, the price is not going to move when we want to, it's just going to move when it's ready to. So and that basically
No, no,
resumes
no.
what we have been talking about.
You've got it nailed there. I mean, I wanted to quickly, but I mean, you've basically.
Let's
We
give
need to.
something to people.
Yeah.
What are you good charts that you're looking at right now that you
Let's
think
quickly.
might offer a good opportunity? Do you have anything in your radar?
Charts that I think that have a good opportunity right now are very limited. But I like your approach. I'm going to show you this. And I want you guys to take this as the golden, as yet again, it's a simplified version of me thinking about gann levels. I tend to, because I do this on YouTube. In the beginning, you said, doing this every day on YouTube is a crazy thing. I had to simplify a lot of what I think and do. You can still hear me, Joe, and you can still talk.
Okay, yeah. I'm listening to you. I'm
Okay.
looking at your
So I had
chart.
to simplify a lot of what I do, because otherwise, if you bring somebody new on and you try and teach him, so it's almost like I took my gann and my Wyckoff and I turned them into trading patterns as an example, because the head and shoulders is nothing other than, if you apply the gann and you look at the divergences and stuff, you're going to get that picture. So head and shoulder, it's just like a shortcut or crypt note. Trading patterns are a crypt note of what actually should happen. There will be divergence. There will be these things at these critical levels. So for me, the big key here is, if you look at any coin, and let's use, I'm going to just scroll. I'm going through my list here. I'm just going to, something that is a few cycles old. We can actually use Solana. I mean, Solana is a big deal. And I see there's a question, what about ETH? Let's talk about ETH real quick.
Let's
So I'm
talk
going to
about
load
ETH.
up. There, Green Tuber Slovak. Green Tuber. Let's talk about your ETH, buddy. Guys, make sure to go follow. There's about 300 people watching live. Make sure to go follow. Make sure to go follow at Crypto Says Joe. Okay.
They gotta subscribe to your channel, man. I mean, I really appreciate the invitation, and that we're talking here, because I really enjoying this.
I need to. There's one. I just want to quickly just switch off all my TA that's on there. So I'm just gonna do this real quick. So there you go, clean chart.
Okay, now, we're on Solana.
We're doing Ethereum real quick for everybody.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I am in Ethereum.
Yeah, so we're doing ETH. Now the problem with Binance is and ETH, probably which would make for bad excuses, is you don't have all the ETH price before it got listed on Binance. So the example, what I want to try and do, will work, but it won't look as efficient as the explanation textbook like needs to be. So we need to probably I'm just going to select Link just as an example, and we'll apply that back to
it's one of the ones that I like. I like Link.
Yeah. Okay, so now you've got Link. You've got Link from its olden days, okay, and you've got Link at a high, and you've got Link bear market. Okay, so you've got a complete cycle in there. And one thing that I do like about what you pointed out is, when you have coins that do this, so Wyckoff thing as well, long accumulation, effortless result. You'll typically get that. But the nice thing is to know when to time, when to buy. Let's first talk about buy. I've given you when we should sell already by using the speed resistance fib fan. We'll apply that now again. So the fib level that I use for that is when you take it from the low to the top of the previous bull market, low to the top, and you apply what I call my long-term fib reload. There's the settings. Go and have a look. It's nothing serious, 786, 618. But the thing that people try, and they want to be so overcomplicated with stuff. Look at the levels. You just buy DCA on those levels, and you're in. You're golden. Now, should we sell? Bring up the RSI real quick. Where's your first wave? When did the RSI? And it's easy. You can look back at the past. Everybody's geniuses with TA when you can look back at the past. When you can have the full picture. That's what makes this so easy to apply, because you don't need to do too much. And now you have your level. So you're looking at that low around the RSI there. Okay. You're looking at that high of the RSI there, and there's your first wave. So from that point onwards, on each of the highs, price will do what? It will stay within the 38. There's the settings again. And it will remain bullish as long as it's there. So do we sell? I'm leaving that to you, Malaysia rich man, to make that cue, because I'm not here to give fish. I'm here to teach you how to fish. That's power to you, because I can't be there at midnight when the market crashes. And you need that training wheel now. That's what
I love that.
Joe does in his group. He's a mentor in his group. That's what I do in my group. I teach and mentor so that you make the decisions, because it's on you. It's your profit at the end of the day. And there you have it. So there we had the highs. There we had a high. There we had a higher high. There we stayed above it. Remember, when we lose a level, what happens? You need to open and close a candle below a level. That's how you know it's lost. Yeah? We stayed above it. We just flirted with it a little bit, and you keep on moving it until the highs, until we finally break it. And if we reclaim it, you can say bullish again. That's over. That's when you know when to sell. So there's your link as an example.
I love that.
I
love that you share that. I'm going to show you a chart in a second.
Okay, so now let's move this on. Again, I'm going to take this fib. Not going to complicate things for you guys. There's a low, there's a high. Low, high. Move it over. Okay. Yet again, your DCA on these levels. Wait for the RSI to do what? Give you that first move. Now in this one, it's a little messy, but it's still there. First move. So we had a low. We had the RSI go from low to high. So there's your first move. So there would be your number 2. Okay. Boom, boom. There would be your number 2. So you move that over again, and you say, well, now that's the point I need to follow. There's my high. Okay, so there's the shakeout. From that point, as soon as we make the high, I stay within this line. And you keep in it. You keep at it. It's bullish, it's bullish. And then if it does break that level, like it did there, you're bullish when it reclaims it. Okay, like I said, the market can sometimes trick you. Well, there was one candle that opened and closed above it. You could say, hey, it's reclaimed, and then immediately it fell below it. But
no, actually, look at this. It didn't, because if you put the top on the subsequent top candle, that level wasn't broken, because you're using the previous low, the previous high.
Yes, there. Sorry. Thank you,
There
Joe.
you go.
Thanks, buddy. Okay, didn't reclaim it. Now you're out. Okay, or you can just wait. The nice thing about the market is we'll always give you a second opportunity. It won't be at the price you want it to be, but it will give you a second opportunity, because it's all about finding out what is resistance and what is support. The market doesn't know what it wants to do either. It's just as clueless as we are. Think of it like that. It's just trying to figure out, is this truly support? Is this truly resistance? I don't know. So it's going to go back to say, well, let's see. Let's find out. And the problem is our systems, our trading rules tend to be stuff that we want to force onto the market. That's why we fail. like this: January, February, alt season, then bear market. Because you're saying that, you're forcing a narrative down, and maybe it happens to be everybody gets to be right occasionally for them to be wrong consistently. So as a true trader, what I do is I just try and say, well, we'll wait and see. And that means that I sometimes need to be bullish and bearish at the same time to kind of figure out, how am I going to make money out of this? But there you have that, and you do exactly the same. Now I've got the same low again. So it's a simple trick, guys. It's so simple. That's it. Simple trick there. Buy those levels, wait for the RSI to do the same thing again. And patience is key here, guys. There's your first wave. Once you make that higher high, you stay with the move. Okay, so here it made a little bit of a fuckery for the back. For that, it claimed the level, you get back in. Okay, high, it lost it. Like I said, they didn't quite go to the line. It's over.
So let me
Until
ask
we
you
do what?
something that you have.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I interrupted
No.
you.
I'm
Go
done.
on.
Ask me.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, you're doing those to evaluate the breakouts for the corrections. Can you do it in the opposite way, or do you do it in the opposite way?
Yes, it works just as well. So what I'm going to do is just mind screw everybody and just invert it. Simple
Oh,
system. Just
oh my
invert it.
God, yeah.
Simple
Yeah, yeah,
system.
yeah.
There you go, guys. So when to be bullish. Okay, wait for the first
Exactly.
wave to appear. Wait for the first wave to appear. Okay. I clicked on the wrong thing there. Wait for the first wave to appear. Okay. Then from that
You
point
just blew
onward,
my mind.
track the highs, track the highs, track the highs until we fall below it. And then you call
And
it
you
a
buy.
day. Simple.
That's
And
crazy.
then for the love of me, I don't know why, I don't know why people still end up fighting you and saying certain stuff when it's clear that you can just be unemotionally invested and say that this is bearish clearly. And then, guys take offense. How can you say this? Because of the fundamentals and because we've lost critical support. Things that go up, go up. Full stop.
Yeah.
Over to your chart.
No, well, but yes, that's amazing. We can do the same and this is a perfect example on Link here. I have Solana, but Link is good. You can see this is a perfect case for price working on its own structure and the work we need to do with patience. I mean, another trick with Ichimoku that I always tell students, dropping a lot of alpha here, by the way, is that whenever the cloud is flat, you can know that that's a strong, really strong resistance or support. So you can see right here how massive and big and thick that Kumo is. The price
Yeah.
attempted to break those levels a couple times, but it couldn't. So it is a process. You can see that we are now getting a bearish ticket cross here, but again, until this process is resolved, this is not going to trend upwards. So we need to wait. Another thing with Ichimoku is that when a Hosoda said that whenever the price is inside the Kumo, it's a no trade zone. Basically, it's just a big fight between bears and bulls. Price is not trending in any direction. I mean, you can play the edge to edge,
Yeah, it's a
like
kangaroo market. It's choppy at that
yeah,
stage.
yeah.
Correct.
You can buy here, you can sell here, you can buy here, you can sell here, you can short here, you can close the short here. But at the end of the day, there's no trending market, so there's nothing you can do. If we go to Solana, because we talk about that, you can see it was Eth here. You can see here the nature of the chart. So you can see easily we are on the monthly chart. We have very simple, we have a resistance and we have a main support. That's a range, basically, that was defined, by the way, years ago. So here from here. So anything that happens within that is just a range. So you can see the the reasoning for the Kumo here. What this is telling you basically is simply chop. It's not gonna trend upwards. It's not gonna trend
Green,
downwards.
red, green.
It,
Yeah, it's going to be.
it's just gonna keep chopping and chopping and chopping, and it makes sense because if you think about it, now we're gonna bring the fundamentals. If you think about it, these cannot go up forever. But if we're gonna use Ethereum for practical global solutions, there needs to be a point when this gets somewhat stable. And of course, people are gonna gamble on this, but until there's a fundamental reason, like in a major way, we're gonna be stuck in this range. And as you can see here, it seems to me that this is gonna probably can hang around that range at least for a couple more years. And that's
Um,
stuff that people need to be aware of, and people need to be, need to consider because Ichimoku is telling you that. So instead of thinking about, oh my God, I'm bearish, we need to sell all, or we're bullish, we need to buy it all, it's just a matter of, like you said, like you just beautiful explained there. Let's just define your range, buy at supports, sell at resistances, and just call it a day. Like you said, we are at the end of the day, we're just trying to make for those of us who are traders, we just try to make a living out of this. So we need to live one day at a time, see what the market opportunity is, instead of being thinking about,
forcing. Yeah.
if it is bullish, if it's bearish long term. Because if you're doing that, basically that means that you're an investor. But if you're an investor and you want to buy Ethereum, you don't buy Ethereum here. You buy Ethereum here, here, and here, because that's where your most opportunity to extract money long term it's going to be. Now, if you want to be an investor because of fundamentals, but you're buying a non-resistance, I'm sorry, you're gonna have a really hard time, or unless you're very disciplined and you're like, okay, I'm buying Ethereum here and I'm gonna sell in 10 years. That's an investor mindset, but that's a different conversation. So, and we know that most of the people that are in the space are here because they want to make money quickly. If not,
That's
meme
the,
coins and shit coins wouldn't be in the space at all. So
that's the,
there's a, I mean, it is the way it is. So uh,
it's a scary, scary notion. But it
what
is. They
are we
want
gonna
money.
say?
They want to trade for a living and retire next week.
Charts that look good right now.
Let
We
me
took
let me
them
quickly bring up
probably.
my ETH just for the same argument there. So now you understand where these levels come from green to the Slovak. Okay, so you understand where the levels come from. You understand how we're tracking the momentum. So we're at the top. We fell below the level. Okay, so now yet again, you've now had a different approach to this. I'm just going to invert it and just use the same thing again. So we have our first wave created, okay, from the RSI. So we kind of went, it's a little messier, but we kind of went there to there. Okay. First wave. And now we track this. And can you see this time round? This time round. Okay. It's not listening to it. Can you see this? It's not listening to it. It is adhering to the levels, as you can see, but it's not listening to it. Why is that? Because we are in chop.
Hmm.
But this is the part that exhausts traders. So when they're forcing TA, that doesn't work. So what does it mean? If you followed my channel, you've been here, because obviously there's some of your guys here and there's my guys. I haven't touched ETH at all because it's doing this. Sometimes just let the bloody thing be fickle and allow it to finish what it wants to do. Because at some stage, it will listen to the stuff again. And when it
Yeah. I
does,
tell student,
I'll be
I
there.
tell students in that sense, I tell students like, let the trade come to you, not the other way
Yes.
around.
Yeah, don't force it. I'm bringing
Yeah,
back your chart
exactly.
there, buddy.
Yeah. I'm thinking. I was looking at something. We look at Dash. Litecoin. It's a. Ah, Ripple is another example I wanted to bring because there was another good lesson there. You can, yeah, on Ichimoku. You can see here on the weekly. It was a weekly. Was it the weekly? No, it was a monthly. You can see here is the same case we had with Litecoin. With Link, we had the flat Kumo right there on the monthly. You know that's a very strong resistance. So you mark that one down. But you can see that there's some action here that might lead you to think, okay, maybe it is accumulating, maybe it is not. You can see the volume, you can see how massive this buy volume was here in relationship to the past couple of years. However, the candle didn't move at all. And then you can see how this was November last year, how this massive volume. So you have your level right there. Let's say you go to the daily and you can see right here at this point, exactly on um November 16th, 2024, you can see that we broke this monthly Ichimoku. We broke it on the daily. Then you can put everything together. You have the very thin green Kumo pointing upwards. The lines are traveling together here, the Tenkan and the Kijin. The Chiku is breaking also the monthly Kumo. You didn't even need to buy the bottom. I mean, at this point, you can buy this retest right here and you can place a sensible stop loss when you don't risk that much or you go low with leverage and you buy spot or whatever. How do you manage your trade and your risk is a different story. Some people are more aggressive, some people are less aggressive. But it's a simple predicament. You are breaking a major resistance, which is a monthly Kumo on the daily. So you go back to the monthly Kumo, you buy right there, and look at what happens for the next 2 weeks of the month of November, and then December, and then January. And you can easily be profit like what? From there, 228% in a couple months without even buying the bottom. So those are some of the things that you can think and how you can manage to trade with Ichimoku, for example. That's another good example I wanted to bring because these breakouts are unexpected, but there are always signs and there are always ideas and things that are going to tell you, we might be doing something here. And if you do a trend line, then your answer is obvious. You start to pay attention right there. You have a clear trend line right there. You break that. You can see the Kumo here turn green and pointing upwards at this candle right there. So maybe if you were earlier, you could have bought a 57 cents. It's the same trade that we took with Zcash, or you could have bought, you could have buy $1. I mean, and both of them ended up in resulting amazing trades. A lot of people are talking about Zen right now because
Zen. Okay.
it's yeah. So you can see that. You can see we can take the same approach. You
Oh, I
can
see what you
see
mean. Look at that coincidence, or that
you can see
similarity.
that there's a major level here because the Kumo is flat and you have the Kijun right there, right? So you go to the weekly and you can see how fat that Kumo is. You can see how flat and fat it is. So obviously there's no confirmation here because the Kumo is still red. And
Yeah, and it
every
needs to get
single
above
line, the
25.
Chiku, exactly. But but you can see that we might be following. So if you're and we are already inside the Kumo. So what you can do right now is you can pay attention. You can pay attention of what's going on right now. You can pay attention. You can see we got rejection right there because it's closer to the weekly Kumo and the Kijun on the monthly. You can pay attention right here. Like Rudo said, we just need to be patient and let things unfold. So we can already see this is green and pointing outward. So there's a good forecast. So if we go out there, we break and we hold that support so that there's a strong chance that we follow the same fate. And if you look at that, we could be looking at a major progression for the chart by measuring the technical structure. We can see that this was a major accumulation zone. You can see a resistance there. You can see a resistance there. So if we end up breaking that Kumo and trending that, we can easily be ready to break that resistance, and that'll take us to what? To an important level again. You can see right there the Kumo. You can see right there. That can take us easily to anywhere between $75 to $85. And we are right now sitting at $20. So in my book, that's a pretty good return on investment. But again, you need to pay attention to the right signals, and you need to be able to manage your risk accordingly. You need to be able to understand the confirmations and all of that. But if you think about it, I mean, what other good risk to reward ratio can you get than buying here when the local top is here? I mean, it's when you do the risk to reward ratio, you're basically, if you buy, let's say here, you're basically talking about a what, 14 to 1 trade, which I mean, it's always a good deal. So
Yes, you just
it's
need to
just, we just need to pay
manage your
attention to the
amount you're willing
confirmations.
to lose. Yeah.
Exactly. Simple as that. And believe me, one thing that I understood on the markets also is that every single asset in the universe is always going to do this and is always going to do this. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when.
When?
So it's
So
our
tricky thing.
job, yeah, it's a way, it's our job is to understand the best places to get into those positions. I mean, it's extremely rare with something that is working, where there is a good project or a good product, that something just stays like this forever. And even so, I've seen charts that had been probably going down for a decade, 20 years, 13 years, and out of nowhere, they go like this. So, I mean, it's just a matter of identifying those um how do you say, opportunities. Bat is another one that I'm paying attention to right now. I have an older bag. I tweeted this
Yeah.
one earlier in the week on Monday. It was down here at 18. It's already at 21. I have an older bag in full disclosure from 12. So, because like I told you guys, my most important aspect is always to buy as closer to the bottom as I can because I know that's my big opportunity. And then I wait. But bad is in a similar position. And it's, you can see it's starting to square up. Now, look at here on the 3 day.
Have a look at
Here on the
Filecoin
3 day,
after that as well.
yeah, I will look at it. You can see the Kumo here is green, is thin, it's actually getting a little bit wider. The Tenkan and the Kijun are together, the price is out, and the Chiku just came out of the Kumo. So, I mean, if you manage your risk accordingly, there's a pretty good chance that either this breaks that Kumo right now, or it fools around a little bit and then it breaks it. And then, like I said, the rest is history. You got your trend line there, which is seems to be a descending triangle, which can break both ways, but obviously, due to the accumulation, this case is likely to break bullish. So you measure that, and then you have another trade. You're reaching probably another level, which you can see is around this area, sitting at around 60. We're at 21. That's 300%, 200%. So, I mean, 300%. So, I mean, it's just a matter of identifying and buying when it matters, which is right there. I mean, recently it happened with Aster too. It's just crazy how wrecked people got with Aster, but every single red flag that this was going to roll over was right there. And I saw people longing 100x here calling for $4 just a few weeks ago. And I'm like, nope, don't buy it. It's just gonna go down. I mean, you fight the trend and then this happens. So, like I said, everything is gonna go down at some point and everything is gonna go up at some point. The only work we have to do is just to make sure that we don't take much risk or buy here, and we try to identify potential bottoms where we can buy or probably interact with the market. That's all there is to it, to be honest. So what else? What you have in there? Oh, you have Aster. You lost the sound again.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Sorry. I had
There
a
you, there you
button
go.
on. Yeah, it is 7 p.m. my time, so the family is cooking and everybody. So it sometimes gets a
Time to
little
have
noisy.
dinner.
So I just the dogs are running up and down. They're coming to say hi. It's time to play. You know? But in any case, there you have it. I mean, it went through the levels, and you take the highs to the lows, and you're looking for those levels to buy. So you buy those levels. Once it starts moving, you do the exact. You do the exact same thing. You've got your first wave. You wait for your first wave to finish. Then you move it on the highs. Move it on the highs till it breaks. There you have it.
Boom.
Then you get out. It gave you enough time to get out on a second swing again. And you
Mm-hmm.
don't need a lot. And now you wait for this thing to do what? Because it lost this level. Aster needs to be dead to you until it starts creating the right support level, because now you're in no man's land. You're in price discovery. This thing is this in the opposite direction. So, and yeah, that's the thing about these coins. We were in COAI as well. I mean, that thing made a killing real quick, made a lot of money. And, when the horde starts jumping in on this and say, now, that's when we leave. There was another coin we were going to look at, Filecoin. I want to see your thoughts on Filecoin and your chart on that, if
Oh
you
yeah, let me show you. I actually can talk to
don't
you
mind.
about a couple important things.
Okay.
Filecoin,
So I'm bringing up your
because
screen real quick.
one, they're asking about the cycle, the 4-year cycle. So there is
What
one
about
thing that I
breaking
would
the 4-year
love.
cycle? Okay. Good
Okay,
question.
Filecoin or feel or file or whatever you want to call it, you can see right there. This is one that even though the risk to reward ratio is good, wouldn't interact with. And a simple reason is because it's on discovery mode for the lows. I mean, it would be a different scenario if there was a low here and then we're above that. But right now, I mean, this is making new lows, new lows, new lows. And until I see a relevant, I mean, it's almost at zero, which is crazy to say.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, honestly, it's a good deal if you want to buy spot and just simply DCA, unless this project goes bust and it goes to zero. But in terms of Ichimoku, in terms of waves and particles, might be a different story. But in terms of Ichimoku, there's nothing to look for here right now. This Kumo is flat. You can see strong levels, and it's red, and it's big, and it's fat, and it's ugly. So we need to start seeing some probably, opportunities that these Kumo might be getting smaller or something like that, because the probability that this goes up from here is high. However, in terms of time, things might be different. I mean, this could go up here and then go down again like this, until that Kumo is small enough so price can break it. So this could be something that we might need to wait maybe anywhere from a couple of months to maybe 2 years. So it's something that, in my opinion, still needs time. They're talking about the 4-year cycle. So
Yeah.
mm, there's something I can talk about really quick right here. And for these, we're gonna bring the Space Center again, because um there's a relationship. If you go to the sun cycle progression right here, okay, you can see we have basically this. Do you see it? Yeah, it's loading. I don't know why it's not loading. Let me refresh
Don't
this.
worry. I've got internet issues frustratingly as well. So it
Oh,
only
really?
now showed your chart or this. So
What's
on my
going
end,
on?
there's a bit of a delay.
I mean, so when I started to work on solar cycles,
Yeah.
I found this paper. There you go. This paper that talk from the Federal Reserve of Atlanta, that talk about the relationship between solar cycles and recessions. So
Can you
when we
can you
go,
send me that picture?
yeah, I will.
What's the
So
sunspot
when
cycles? I can probably Google it and find it. Don't worry.
Yeah, the thing is, like I said, usually when we are at the top of the solar peak, which lasts around 10 to 11 years, is usually where recessions happen. As you can see right there, the relationship, it's undeniable. And the reason is because of what I told you. I mean, it's basically the 10-year cycle for Wall Street, on a from a scientific point of view, and it's because of that. Where the solar cycle is at its peak, you get a lot of fear as a collective because it's just the nature we have to survive. So solar cycles represent heavy storms. Heavy storms represent earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, because the whole electromagnetic field of the earth gets all freaky and crazy, which is happening actually right now because we are at the top of the solar cycle. So back in
Okay.
so back in 20, let me go back to the chart here. So back in 2018, I started working on the idea that from 2024, let me just go to the 12-month chart, and let's go to the SPX for this. Okay. So I started playing with this idea that from 2024 to 2028, we might have a major depression or recession based on the solar cycle because it's one of the strongest ones we've had in recent history. So we can see that we have been pumping, but this is not something that you say, oh, it's going to happen this month, it's going to happen this year. It's a whole thing. I mean, sometimes the top of the recessions happen at the peak of the solar cycle. Sometimes they happen at the end, but this thing lasts for 5 years, the progression to the solar minimum. So we can have the price pumping, and then maybe in 2026, on 2027, that year, we go down a big candle, and then we reset everything, and then we start trending slowly upwards again for the next cycle. So Bitcoin never experienced one solar cycle. This is the first time, at least, it, it does that. So being that the case, I think, and this is a speculative speculation because, like I said, this is the first time where Bitcoin really has the opportunity to prove itself on a major solar cycle, because the last stop of the solar cycle happened when Bitcoin was born. So right now, if we have a major big economical downturn, like in the next year or the next 3 years, is where we are going to really test if Bitcoin is going to be able to depeg for the traditional markets and really serve its purpose as a store of value. So I think the fact that the stock's going up at the same time that Bitcoin is going down and gold is going up is a big sign that Bitcoin might depeg or perform well during a major recession or depression. Because I think what's going on right now is that price is being forced down heavily for big players to load and use Bitcoin as a sort of value once the big depression or the big recession or the big drop finally happens. But before that happens, they need to load their positions. And make no mistake, they are not going to load their positions at 126. That's
No,
not going to
they
happen.
they they, they buy good levels. They've got the money. They'll
Exactly.
make it happen. Mm.
So that's another thing. I highly doubt, this is a big take from me, is something that I rarely do. I don't see Bitcoin breaking 65 right now. So I think that some way, somehow, if we manage to go to 80 to 70 to 65, that's going to be the buy opportunity of your life. And you can see how actually Ichimoku relates to that. You get the Kijun sitting at 76, and you have a fat green Kumo here on the monthly. So if we go there, I think it's going to be a multi-generational buy opportunity, because I believe that that is where the big players are going to load Bitcoin in order to store their wealth in the digital world when the big depression or recession finally kicks up,
Finally kicks in.
which you can see right here on the SPX. I mean, we all know, if you're a good analyst, if you understand cycles, if you understand structure, you know this is a parabolic move, and you know this is not going to be sustainable
Unsustainable.
over a long
Just
time.
when.
eh,
Yeah.
Period. This is going to correct no matter what. And like I said before, parabolic moves corrections are nasty, and they go somewhere between 30% at the easiest one to 80% at the craziest corrections. It's just the way parabolic moves correct. They're very hard to time because they're parabolic moves, and when you get in the way of bulls, things really go crazy. But like I said, this can happen, and it's very likely to happen. The question is when. So if you insist, well, you can start to see the cracks. I mean, everything is right there. The stage is set, the cards are on the table. So I think that Bitcoin, it's going to perform amazingly good. And I mean, once this happens, I mean, like I said, this is just me trying to connect the dots. It's me just trying to figure out what this whole mess can be. And
Mm.
these are
And
some ideas I have. Yeah,
that
go for it.
massive economist of that, what's that guy they made the movie The Big Short about?
Michael Burry.
Uh,
Yeah, he just
Michael
tweeted this
Burry.
week.
I mean, he's short with millions again, bazillions
Yeah,
again in the
I think
market.
I think I think 80% in of his money is on Palantir shorts. And I'm actually short on Palantir from $200. I took the short like a few days ago, and I believe he's right. I mean,
Mm.
this is another scenario of a parabolic move that is unsustainable, and it's gonna crack. It's early. You can see that Ichimoku, there's no confirmation. Actually, might find a bounce on the Kijun, but if we go to the daily, you can start to see the early indications. We got the Chiku below the price here, and now Chiku just got into the price again. You can see the trend line.
Weakening
Right,
momentum. It's weakening. Yeah.
it's breaking it actually. So in my opinion, the best thing that Palantir can do right now might be go up, retest the trend line, retest the high, might even go a little bit higher to shake hands or to trick people at dead cat bounce or something like that.
Mhm.
And then from there, it might be, just a rollover. I think he is right on the Palantir short. I'm actually I'm with him. Like I said, I'm sure Palantir at 200. My stop loss is already safe. So the worst thing that
Apply
can.
that Gann fan on this chart. Let's quickly see if it's breaking that. So
Let's
it's
see.
there
Let's
by
see.
your Fibonacci tools.
I'm gonna do my D Web 2 to see the notes
Okay. Yes,
from
that
the
would be
last
amazing.
from the last drop,
One, two
and we
higher.
can
No, no, no.
pick the
There you are.
from this node to the next one, and you can see right there, it's breaking the 1-to-1. So
And
you can
as soon as you
see,
break 1-to-1, your desperate line is the next line. That red line. That's your
yes,
desperate, hope for bullish.
yeah,
But go for
basically
broke now.
my gun funds are like this. I do
Yeah.
black, and the most important line is the 1-to-1, because that's like the 50%. So for
Yeah.
gun, always the 50% is the most important. That's why you can see actually this, when the price touches a 1/2, it's usually a top. So, but you can see why the price pulls around here. I mean, this is the most important line, and you can see these is not a, this is not how do I say that? This is not a candle to ignore, because it broke the 1-to-1, it retested that level, and now it's sinking from that level. So there's a lot of things that need to happen here. Like I said, we need to break that Kumo, but you can see the Kumo is closing up already. So the Kumo needs to turn red. But once the Kumo turns red, the price is under the Kumo, the Tenkan and the Kijun are under the Kumo, and the Chico, which is right here, it's under the Kumo. That's gonna be a confirmed bear momentum. So, and then you have your levels right there and stuff like that. It's probably gonna do something like this. But yeah, like I said, I'm with him. I'm sure in Palantir. And another one that we can pay attention to is NVIDIA, because we know that those
Yeah,
are the charts that are basically, and look at that, look at NVIDIA. I mean, it's just crazy. Look at that candle. I mean, in my book, after such a parabolic move with no corrections at all, and if we close this candle like this tomorrow, it's gonna be a massive bearish engulfing candle. So it doesn't mean that this run is over and it's gonna go to zero. But if we get this bearish engulfing candle after this move and stuff like that, we know we can correct heavier and we can get into a whole different type of structure in this chart. So, like I said, I think we are at the beginning of the end for the stock market. I will have to pull up my pivots on the 3 month and the monthly chart to give you a better assessment of how that can be. But I think those two things, we're at the beginning of that. So, and then I think Bitcoin is going to perform well during it's the first time, like I said, it's the first time where Bitcoin is going to be tested on a major depression recession. And it should perform well. Fundamentally, it should perform well, because basically it's going to be an exodus from people
yeah, it's
leaving the
what else
stock
is out
market.
there?
And when you see gold, you know, this is basically what happened here is the institutions and the big players and everyone that is not native or didn't use Bitcoin as a hedge. So I had a major position on gold in 19 at 1000 here, 1100, because of, like I said, because of Ichimoku theory. I saw the green cloud and I knew after that correction and that accumulation, this was going to start a bull trend. I sold this position around 3000 because I wanted to put all that money into Bitcoin. I didn't care much about gold at all, but you cannot ignore this. So basically, this has been like thousands and thousands of, um, boomers, institutions, countries, and people going to hedge about the imminent downturn of the market.
Of the
So
market, because it's
now
been an amazing run for them.
it has been an amazing, the big
And silver,
level.
let's quickly have a look at silver while you on metals, because silver on a fractal does look like gold back in 2020.
Silver. This is pretty similar to the Ethereum trade. I was very vocal about silver here at $14. Back in 2019, told everyone on Twitter, like, we need to buy silver, we need to buy silver. So right now I'm completely out of this position because of the same reason. Went out at $40 because I wanted to convert everything to crypto. I'm 100% in crypto, either Bitcoin or USDT. um but it's the same thing. I mean, it is not the place to be bullish because this is a non-resistance, so a lot of things can happen here, but still it's a bullish chart. I mean, it's a bull trend where it's looking at the cracks of the lack of balance here because the lines are getting flat, which means there's no balance. But the worst that we can have is just a correction towards there, and maybe we do a flag and we continue, or we have a correction and then we continue the parabolic move. So it's the only way basically I can see right now. So as
Yeah.
you can see, everything is about metals and commodities right now, and that can only represent one thing. That Palantirs and the NVIDIAs and the SPX are just literally the music is about to stop. So, I mean, it is. It is what I'm looking at
Yeah,
the markets right
and
now.
the reality, guys, is that just like in that movie, the music, might see the music's going to stop, but because they can manipulate the market, they can keep the music going for long enough until they can do something about it, or try and do something about it.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes the
And
hard part.
it's funny, I like the fact that you mentioned Michael Burry because something people don't understand is this. Let me pull up a chart. Let me do, I don't know, let me do Bitcoin. So people with money, people that really know what they're doing, people, good traders, good investors, and stuff like that. They don't, let me give you an example here with Bitcoin. These people, they don't care about putting $100 at a 100x. This is a bottom right here, right? This is accumulation area, and this was the top right there. So these people, like I saying, if you have $5 billion, you're not trying to buy here or here with 50x. You simply buy everything that you can here, and then you don't care about selling the pico top because you're not gonna go to Twitter to say that you close your long at 69K with your $5 billion. It's
Mm.
not how smart money works.
With your
Smart,
50,000 followers to try and
exactly.
show the vanity. They've got the
Smart
money.
money, exactly. Smart money sells here. They buy here. So
Mm.
it's not about getting the top. It's not about saying on Twitter, I nailed the top for the fifth
Next
time
week,
in 5
Tuesday,
years.
the top at 3
I'll nail the
p.m.
bottom. So understand these guys. If you're following, if you're listening, that's just marketing, Twitter bullshit.
Mm.
I mean, it's just selling purposes. So they go and they go to my Telegram for my signals or whatever. I mean, it's not how you trade. You build and you end positions in a mindful, respectful, disciplined, and patient way. So the same thing is going to happen with stuff like the SPX. So what is that you need to force the liquidity when you get your taxi driver telling you to buy gold at 4,500, when you get your taxi driver telling you to buy FPX at 6,800, that's the liquidity exit. Why? Because when you go to the long-term chart, like I said, these people were smart enough to buy here. So they don't care. Honestly, they're gonna try to extract as much money as they can. They're not gonna sell exactly right here. They're not sitting right now on the computer like, okay, today is the day to sell. No, they're gonna sell here. They're gonna wait for the distribution. They're gonna wait for the major black swan or whatever to exit their positions in layers, in tranches. So at the end of the day, what they're profiting from is either 500% or 480% or even 400%. It doesn't matter. If you have $5 billion and you exit out here, you now have $20 billion. So that's what really matters. That's compounding, and that's how you build a portfolio over time, is by finding opportunities and getting out when it matters, when you get the ceiling. Like Rudo said, you gotta be patient in order to follow the trend line, and you just wait, right, with mindfulness until you break the trend line and you are okay. I can get out of this market and I made my profit. But that would only works if you buy the supports here, here, and here. That is not going to cut it when you bought here. That is not going to cut it when you bought here, because the chances that you get wrecked and the chances that you get a bad trade after a bad trade after a bad trade are extremely big. And then I go back to the first thing I said. That's why for me the most important thing is to get as closer as I can to the bottom accumulation area, because then afterwards, I don't care if I get stopped here. I don't care if I get stopped there. I don't care if I sell the Pico top. I don't care if I sell here at the confirmation of the Ichimoku. I don't care. I'm making money no matter what. It's with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the same thing. Do you think I really care if I'm selling the Pico top when my last buy, my last major buy was exactly at $24,000? So I don't care. I don't even care if I sell at $78,000. I mean, I'm still making tons of profit from my buy 2 years ago. So that's the thing with trading and the cycles. And I think I'm diverging myself too much from the original
No, but
idea from
it
the.
boils down. It boils down to that the basis of anything. If your previous choice was a compromised one, the options
Yep.
going forward will be compromised. If you're negotiating or trading or investing from a point of strength, going forward, you've got good choices. And it's true for buying a car. If me and Joe, we're haggling over a vehicle, if he's in financial straits and I can sniff that out, I can squeeze him on the price. He's compromised. His previous choices was compromising him. So going forward, his options are compromised. But if the guy is good financially and he just wants to sell his car, he can say, no, thanks. Maybe me and you're not going to have a deal today, and wait for his price. And somehow, when it comes to trading, we forget that. We don't want to act when we're empowered. And therefore, we cannot get the next deal because we compromised. Simple.
That's what it is.
So, yeah. Joe, 3 hours and 10 minutes. I think we've
That's
dropped enough
crazy.
alpha. What do you think?
That's crazy.
I can do another 6 hours of this, to be honest.
I
I've got
mean,
a
yeah,
lot.
no, don't poke me, because I mean we're talking about technical analysis, and that has
Yeah,
been my
there's
passion
so
for
much
the last
more
10
to it.
years. I'm a forever student. I'm literally studying the charts and new ways to look at it every single day for the past 10 years, like 18 hours a day. So I mean, I can talk about this for days and days and days and days. But I mean, again, thank you, because I have really fun. And the most important aspect to me is to really help people, to teach people, to show them like probably a stoic and conscious way of approach to the markets, so they don't lose money. Because I mean, it sucks. I mean, I've been there. I mean, I started trading when I was 31 years old. I'm 42
Sure.
right now.
Okay.
And I got angry in my life many times, but the first time ever that I got so angry that I got nauseous and sick and I literally vomited was when I was 33 because of a trade. So imagine the impact that trading can have on someone emotionally. So
Rick.
it was right that day when was like, it's how can I get sick from being angry and frustrated and desperate? So I mean, like every single trader, the things that I teach and mentor today and coach with the students is from my own experience. And it's so bad that I really hate when I see someone else going through that process. So, I mean, I'm truly happy for, I don't really do this many times, but I'm truly happy when we do this with amazing people like you, because I get the chance to help other people that might not be in my radar or in my channels. And as long as I can leave an impression, when I can help them not suffer that thing that I did many years ago, I mean, I think I did my part and I'm happy with it. So, I mean, it's a great opportunity, and I appreciate you giving me a chance to elevate my voice and share these ideas with you, because I learned a lot from your way of looking at the charts too. So it has been an amazing experience, and
No,
thank you a thousand times for this.
no, it was a proper give and take, my friend, and I learned a lot. I'm going to rewatch this video again. There's a lot that I want
We
to
have.
pull from this, and so for me, the same was talking to that. There was one night. I was an architect, so what I did is I would go to work at 6 a.m. in the morning. Then I'll do my job, get everything done by lunch 1. which means I'll be there at 6, no dinner, no nothing. So I get my hours, the amount of time that I need in at that stage. And then from that point on, I will rush home and then I'll be in front of the charts because I knew there was something here that's going to change my life. I just didn't know what it was. And I was studying Ikimoco. I was doing everything, because I thought, the smart ass me thought that I will be able to predict, control the
Our
outcome.
ego. Yeah.
Yeah, or the ego was a big thing for me. I can predict, and every now and then I'll run to my wife and say, "I've got it. We're gonna be making it," and then next time I'm broke again. So it was a tough thing. But the one night I can remember, it was in the middle of the
Hmm.
night. It's like 1 a.m. in the morning. I actually went and woke up my wife and said, "Listen, I am so angry, so frustrated. I want to
Hmm.
throw my computer out of the window."
Yes.
At that, I'm sorry for bothering, but I feel like I'm gonna explode and break something now. Because
Yeah,
it's just
man.
I just don't seem to crack this bloody thing. I've got all the
Yeah.
books. I've read everything. I can recite everything about everything. And why the hell am I not making money? I just bought and dumped. What's wrong with
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
And then, funny enough, I got blessed with the COVID crash. And the fact that that happened, and I was in a signal group, and some analyst said, "See the imbalance, see this. Just wait, it's going to go back to 3,000." And Bitcoin was at that stage close to 12,000, and I was like, "It's never going to go there," and this and that, and all the reasons behind that. When that happened, I realized that it's not about control; it's about just managing the risk and waiting for the levels. And at that stage, we'd sold a property, and I used that money to try and become a trader, a paid trader. I was down to about $2,000. That's all and everything we had. And
Wow.
after that snapped, that you don't have control, that
Yeah.
finally, that ego got pounded away, so that it doesn't exist when it comes to trading. Only thereafter I turned it around.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Before I leave, I want to show you, of course, about how crazy this system is of waves and particles for dates and levels,
Yeah.
even on the high time frame, and how the chart is always going to show you. The reason I shared this chart for the first time in November 2019, the reason there was a specific reason of why I shared this. And it was because I didn't know, I wasn't completely dialed in my own system back then because I was still trying to figure out what I had in my hands.
Yeah.
But as I did my charts, I kept getting March 2020, March 2020, March 2020, something's going to happen. Of course, I cannot see the future, but
Yeah,
I
you don't
can
know what it
see that the system is giving me the date. So in everything, in gold, in oil, SPX, Bitcoin,
There's a lot of
and I'm like,
confluence.
exactly. So I'm like, I'm gonna just pull this chart and I'm just gonna mark April because that would be the turning point because the pivot was March. But if the pivot is March, then April should give me some sort of reversal of some way. And we have twin pivots back in 2020. We have April and May, both were pivots in terms of the long-term cycles. And the important level for the price to hold was exactly $5,900. So I pull out the chart and I said, like, listen, there's going to be an opportunity to buy in March. I don't know why. I don't know if we're going to break that level, if we're going to go down to 3K or whatever, but it is what it is. And then this happened. This is crazy. So you can see here exactly in March, which was the date that I was getting, the candle went down to 4K. It closed above the major support, which was at 6K. And in April, we started the bull run from 6K
Yeah, just took off and
to the
went.
126 we just said. So this is a beautiful example of how important the aspect of time it is in trading, and how cool and amazing the system is, the waves and particle system. So basically, and this is a setup that I like, is what I've been repeating. It's like we were talking earlier. I mean, when you have a setup that you like and you trust, you don't complicate things. You just kiss approach, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
just wash, rinse, and repeat. Stay humble in the face of the market, protect your capital, and just let it rip. I mean, that's all we need to do. That's all we need
that's it.
to be
There you
honest.
have it. Guys, I can't end on
Oh,
a higher note than what you just said. Guy Ritchie
uh,
Revolver. What's the story with that?
have you seen that movie?
Yes. No, Revolver. Let me just look it up. I think I've seen all his movies. I love the guy. Uh,
Mm.
let me
That
just quickly
that
refresh
that
my mind.
that movie, I had
2005.
to, yeah, I had to watch that movie like 10 times, but in my opinion, is one of the most amazing ways someone can understand in a fun way, because it is a movie, the aspect of ego in your own life. That's a movie about ego. And Guy Ritchie wrote that movie and directed it like after a 7-year hiatus in India. He came
Yeah,
back to the States and he did that movie. And if you want to understand more the psychology of your ego and the stuff that will do to you, and how to be a master of your own ego and your own mind, in my opinion, that's a great way
that's the one.
to understand that. So I wanted to leave you
Yeah,
guys
well,
with
now
that.
we've got some homework. I'm gonna watch that tonight because I haven't seen the movie. Funny enough,
Oh,
um,
you have to. You're gonna love it.
I have to, have to go watch it. So tonight I'm gonna be watching Guy Ritchie's Revolver. There we go. And just as a note on cycles, while we're on this, I mean Ray Dalio did an amazing video on this. I mean everybody should have seen this, but if you haven't, just for the sake of it, also have a look at that, because what Joe has been saying regarding dates and the confluences of factors. Ray Dalio puts in very nice perspective. It's a very nice video to follow. It's not hard to keep up to date, and that's based on his books and a lot of research. So I mean, a lot of people have seen this, but it's still something worth looking at. I think you've seen it as well, Joe.
Which one it is? Principle of dealing
The
with changing the world.
principles of
Yes.
dealing with changing world order. I think if you're in the game
Amazing
like
video.
I've been following, you have seen this, but it's still worth noting. So yeah, not as great a homework as you gave me, so I'm going to be enjoying this tonight. So there we go. That's it.
Amazing.
Joe, thanks so much. It was awesome having you, buddy.
Rudo.
And
So happy.
yeah,
Looking forward to do this again. We should
definitely,
get up
we
again.
have to do this again. What do you guys say? Still 320 people watching live as we're going through. It's 3 hours and 22 minutes in. So let's make the chat run for one last time, 777, because we're going to take this alpha and we're going to turn this into our portfolios and make our portfolios more profitable. Joe, thanks so much, buddy. I really appreciate that. You guys know where
Hello, hello. Are you? The screen froze. I think we lost Rudo.
Yo, we lost internet there again. But I think now's the time to call it a day. So thanks so much. This was a really good. Joe's already dropped off in my absence, but it was a good stream nevertheless. I really enjoyed spending the evening with you. Retweet, relike, leave your comments in the bottom of the video. We can try and schedule more of these kind of content for you guys into the future. Cheers, everybody.